The girl always walked with her head down, playing on her phone. The next second, she was hit by a reincarnation truck and flung hundreds of meters. At that moment, a mysterious boy with wings appeared out of nowhere. He congratulated her on receiving a chance at rebirth. The girl was completely dumbfounded. She never imagined such an absurd thing would happen to her. As for why she was chosen, that's even more unbelievable. It turns out that the deity is a heavy novel fan. Every novel they read has the girl's amazing comments. Therefore, after creating the world of Luohuan, the deity immediately thought of her. The girl did not feel fortunate because of this. After all, many novel characters have tragic fates. But refusing would lead to erasure. So she proposed a few conditions. Not only does she have a distinguished family background, with a handsome father and brother, but she also possesses unimaginable special abilities. The angel did not refuse. Instead, he smiled like a villain. The girl urgently changed her mind, but it was in vain. Before being consumed, he loudly questioned what the special ability really was. Dare to deceive me, and you're dead. And the angel finally said something incomprehensible. Don't worry, because you are mine. However, the girl's desired life did not appear. Clearly the daughter of a prominent duke, she became a humble servant who couldn't get enough to eat or wear. She was even constantly berated and bullied by her uncle. You should know your place. That's why your father abandoned you. Oh, right. It's not even certain that you are the Duke's biological daughter. Just then, my cousin Clara suddenly appeared, seemingly kind, pleading for Lulu. But secretly, she constantly humiliated her. That night, her calves were beaten until they were bloody. She was even punished by not being allowed to eat dinner for a week. Later, the wicked cousin Clara even added insult to injury, saying that those who don't work hard don't deserve to eat. You need to take your work seriously from now on. Lulu was furious in her heart. She cursed that devil. Tears streamed down her face in sadness. She even had thoughts of ending it all. Immediately, she persuaded herself not to be so fragile. She had to survive in this world where the score was 0. Soon it was her cousin Clara's birthday party. This year, she wore a custom luxurious gown again. It is said that one dress could buy a mansion. Lulu hid in the darkness, feeling despondent. But Clara deliberately got her shoes dirty. As a result, Lulu once again became the humiliated servant. What are you doing? Isn't being hungry for a week enough? Do you want to get punished again? The girl was humiliated thoroughly. Big tears couldn't stop falling down. At that moment, the Duke father, who had disappeared for many years, suddenly appeared. He sternly questioned, it seems my daughter's hair is not golden. The poor girl is chosen by the gods to enter the world of Luohuan. She was born with a beauty similar to Mabel's. Yet her family background is mistreated by her uncle, who treats her like a servant. Today, after many years, her father, the Duke, finally returns from the battlefield. He immediately comes to the Marquis's residence. Her uncle frantically tries to hide the truth. He even claims that Lulu is just a servant doing chores in the household. But how could the Duke not recognize his own child? He asked rhetorically on purpose. Is this shabby girl really a maid from the palace of Paladon? Lulu's heart skipped a beat. Her words were almost pleading. Even so, could you take me away? I just couldn't get clean. That's why I look like this. I am very good at washing clothes and cooking. I can pay for my meals with my labor. I can also polish your shoes every day. I polish them very bright and shiny. As she spoke, her tears flowed uncontrollably. She hurriedly grasped the Duke's pant leg. I want to go home. Dad, please take me away. Lulu was determined not to let go. Unexpectedly, she was lifted up by the Duke with one hand, and was taken outside like this. Just as they were about to leave here, the Duke suddenly stopped. With a burst of magic power, he tore Clara's dress to shreds. How dare you covet something that doesn't belong to you? It's simply asking for trouble. Actually, Clara's dresses every year are bought by the Duke for his daughter, but they are taken by the Marquis as his own. After returning, Lulu lived a happiness she had never experienced before. In just 10 short days, she regained her health. It's just that the Duke has never come to see her even once. With his years of reading novels, the Duke should see himself as a good person who resembles a villain. I bought the right stock to live here permanently. He decided to work off his board first, because that's what we agreed on beforehand. The maids watched their young lady, helpless. How could the Duke's youngest daughter be here to work? However, Lulu felt abandoned. She couldn't become a true child of the family. What are you doing here? The Duke suddenly appears here. His presence sends chills down my spine. Lulu hurriedly claims that she is very good at cleaning, so she works to pay off her meals. But the Duke directly lifts her up. It looks like he's going to throw her out. Unexpectedly, he brings Lulu to the dining table. Then he solemnly ordered her to eat quickly. She desperately stuffed food into her mouth. Her stomach was about to burst. Yet she still didn't dare to say a word against it. After all, her father's gaze was enough to kill an elephant. Fortunately, a maid stepped forward to remind her that she was different from the other young masters. Eating any more would cause stomach pain. The Duke looked very serious, but he had the maid Anna become his daughter's personal maid. Lulu was overjoyed to hear this. This meant she could stay here all the time. But then she thought again. She believed the Duke cared about his reputation. If he drove his daughter away so quickly, it would be criticized. The Duke just stared at Lulu. He didn't say a word. This made him quite embarrassed. Fortunately, the officer came to report. The royal family has urgent matters to attend to. This resolved the current predicament. After returning, Anna approached Lulu. As you can see, Your Excellency has no intention of driving you away. So, as the youngest daughter of the Duke's family, you can simply relax and enjoy yourself. The other maids, upon hearing this, all echoed the sentiment. This left Lulu puzzled. You're all worried about me. Of course we are. Then why won't you talk to me? I thought you all hated me. The maids didn't expect their young lady to think this way. Aren't you different from the others in the Duke's family? You don't have any heirs at all, and you're so kind. From then on, Lulu resolved the misunderstanding. For the first time, she felt the kindness from others. However, that night, Lulu began to worry again, because her uncle had said that she was her mother's child with another man, and she didn't resemble the Duke at all. She hadn't inherited the magical contract either. Once it was confirmed that she was an illegitimate child, it wouldn't be as simple as being kicked out. To survive, I have to act like a real daughter. Make him unable to bear to hurt me because of his paternal feelings. How should I do it? He knew very well. The next day, he mustered his courage and stood at the office door. He originally planned to count to 10 before going in. Unexpectedly, the adjutant opened the door first. Your Grace, let you in. Lulu is really nervous, but she quickly adjusts her state and rushes in. Dad, I miss you so much. Everyone present is stunned. You really miss me. But aren't you very uncomfortable in front of me? Lulu, who was poked at, feels a bit guilty. He still said with a stiff upper lip that he was just not very familiar. So they have to stick together at all times to become close. The next moment, he was lifted onto his lap. To increase their affinity, he placed his hands on the Duke's face. Suddenly, a text box popped up. To meet the conditions, confirm the identity of the contractor. Characteristic Rashawn Cash. Awakening girl. In order to gain favor in front of her father, whom she hasn't seen for years, she deliberately creates physical contact. Unexpectedly, a text box pops up. So the special ability given by the angel turns out to be this. The Duke shows no expression. He places his daughter on his lap, poking his cheek repeatedly with her hand. Lulu was suddenly enlightened. Could this be the tyrant turning into a daughter-obsessed father as in the novel? However, the Duke said he looked like an angry pufferfish. After the meeting ended, the Duke held him from day to night. They stayed together the whole day. Finally, he was let go to take a bath when it got dark. Lulu was a little confused. Could it be because she said this morning that they should stick together all the time? So he did this. But only for a second. He denied himself. And there's something more important now. That is, the pop-up box that appeared during the day. He was annoyed that he couldn't finish reading it. The prompt box unexpectedly appears again with the features Rash and Cash. Cannot be used. I didn't expect such simple awakening conditions. You actually took so long to get here. You didn't think it was a fraudulent contract, did you? You must have cursed in your heart. Lulu, who was hit, felt a bit guilty. Could it be that acting cute in front of the Duke is the awakening condition? Then the text box updates again. Use coins to summon the novels you've read. You can randomly extract the female lead's abilities. For Lulu, who has read countless novels, this is simply incredible. Surviving is definitely not a problem. Conquering the world is also within reach. Suddenly, another message pops up. The ability is incomplete. Please improve the conditions with your own strength. Obtain the summoning medium. Reward, 500 gold coins. Lulu accepted the task without a second thought. She began to think about what the summoning medium might be. Normally, it would be a relic from the temple or a treasure from the magic tower. Otherwise, it would be a family heirloom passed down through generations of a noble family. Currently, it seems she can only come into contact with heirlooms. But the terrifying Duke father is a big problem. As she thought about it, she dozed off in a daze. The next day, Anna woke her from her dream. With a beaming smile, she greeted a few servant sisters. Seeing the jewelry on the table, she couldn't help but exclaim how beautiful it was. Then, she surprisingly became downcast. These really look too expensive. The maids all said that this can be taken casually. He then asked if the Duke's residence also has a designated place for storing these. There are plenty of such rooms in the Duke's residence of the territory. Do you want to take a look? Is that okay? When I was at Sister Ai's house, I would get scolded just for being near those rooms. The maids felt very sorry for their young lady. They directly hugged him tightly. Kind Lulu comforted, it's okay. Because now I have all of you sisters who care about me. In an instant, everyone rushed over and surrounded him. This made his heart feel warm. Anna said, since this is the first visit, we should go see the best holy battle room in the Duke's residence. The treasury of the Marquis of Talenka is nothing compared to that. However, just then, the aide suddenly appeared. His Grace invites you to breakfast. After being a struggling maid for several years, the girl was brought back to the Duke's residence. It was her first time having a meal with the Duke's father. It was so awkward that it felt like scraping the bottom of a barrel. But then she thought it shouldn't be like this. So she greeted him with a smile. As expected, there was no response. So I decided to focus on eating. The delicious pudding made his eyes sparkle. In no time, it was all gone. Looking at the empty plate, he felt very disappointed. The next moment, the Duke pushed the pudding toward him. Then he immediately pretended to be indifferent. Lulu originally wanted the Duke to have a taste, but still, he started to hesitate. After all, in his last life, he never had a father. He didn't know how to interact. After finishing the meal, the Duke looked at Lulu beside him and said, "Why aren't you sticking to me?" Then he picked her up abruptly. In fact, usually, by the time Lulu got up, the Duke was already gone from the mansion. But today, he specifically waited here. The Duke silently brought Lulu to the office. He quietly reviewed documents like this. This made Lulu very suspicious. Could it really be because of her words that the Duke acted this way? Through the past few days of interaction, Lulu increasingly felt that the Duke was a good person. But she quickly stopped her wild thoughts. After all, the most important thing right now is to find a medium. What's wrong with you? I want to see something beautiful. Lucy added that Miss is planning to visit the Hall of Holy War today. Lulu was afraid of being questioned by the Duke. Unexpectedly, the Duke directly tossed aside a mountain of documents. He took Lulu and walked over there. The luxury of the Hall of Holy War is astonishing. It's obvious that these are no ordinary treasures. Just then, the ancient book beside them emitted a dazzling light. Lulu immediately realized that the medium mentioned in the mission was probably this. Dad, what is this? This is a sealing book. It is a treasure inherited from the first Duke. The girl looked on with sparkling eyes. So cute, it's amazing. Can I touch it? It looks so adorable, yet it seems to stir no waves at all. I originally planned to retreat strategically, but then a sudden mission popped up. Convince the Duke to obtain the summoning medium, reward, 5,000 gold lottery tickets. Just to be safe. Lulu really doesn't want to accept. Rejecting tasks or failing tasks will lead to quitting life. And accepting tasks can get prompts. It's obvious that there is no choice. So he still took on the task. A look of death. He stared at the Duke as he was, prepared to accept the so-called prompts. However, the next second, a heart appeared on the Duke's face. What does this mean? The Duke has become a daughter-obsessed dad. He just wants a kiss. Lulu is forced to accept the task given by the system. The next second, a heart appeared on the Duke's face. With his highly sensitive nature, he immediately understood what it meant. But this is so embarrassing. Your expression is so strange. It looks like a frog being strangled. The Duke observed his constantly changing expression. He made a comment typical of a straight man. Lulu quickly reminded herself to stay calm. Right now, I just need to persuade the Duke. Dad, I will be very careful. Really, can't you show it to me just this once? Please, please. The Duke's expression grew even more serious after hearing this. He relaxed his grip on his hands. Lulu looked puzzled. The next second, more hearts popped up. And it kept repeating, kiss her. Kiss her. Things have come to this. Lulu gave up trying to persuade him. She just wrapped her arms around the Duke's neck and kissed him. Not just the Duke. Everyone present was stunned. Lulu still didn't know what would happen next. In the next moment, the glass cabinet behind her shattered completely. By the time she realized it, the ancient book was already in the Duke's hands. Lulu hurriedly reached out to grab it. But the Duke waved the book back and forth, as if he were driving the other girl crazy. In reality, the Duke was just confirming whether the book was in danger. The aide beside him was quite agitated. After all, this is the family heirloom of the Duke's house. If it gets damaged by the young lady, it would be bad. Unexpectedly, the Duke turned his head coldly and questioned, "Is this yours?" The advisor instantly closed his mouth. Lulu happily reached out her hand to praise her dad, saying he was the best. This secretly pleased the Duke. The surrounding affection increased even more. Lulu immediately added another kiss. This made the Duke, who was a daughter's fan, grit his teeth so hard it felt like he would break them. As a result, his expression became even more serious. And the moment I touched the book, countless text boxes popped up. Successfully obtained summoning medium. Received 500 gold. Received a 5,000 gold coin lottery ticket. Received admiration from the assistant. Received admiration from the steward. Family influence slightly increased. Distributing 500 gold coins. It is evident that rewards can be obtained based on people's reactions. The satisfaction level of the persuaded subject has reached its maximum. Rewards are about to be distributed. The man's expression is very calm. Not a trace of any emotion can be seen. Lulu intended to return to her room to check the rewards she just received. However, she was naturally led to the conference room by the Duke. According to the secret surveillance of Duke Karanda these past few days, his mage mining operation has attracted many investors. And they are all from prominent families. Normally, such a venture would have many uncertainties, and one wouldn't dare act rashly before confirming the quality of the mages. However, because of a message claiming that the Paleton family also invested, everyone rushed to join in. The Duke analyzed the possibility of the message being leaked. Either these people will invest, or it has nothing to do with the Duke's residence, or the Marquis of Talenka leaked the news. And Lulu accidentally let her thoughts slip. In an instant, the scene fell silent. It was clear that something big was wrong. The Duke got angry and exploded on the spot. A single action surprisingly calmed the Duke, who was consumed by demonic energy. Just now, Lulu accidentally revealed her true feelings during the meeting. Immediately, everyone's attention turned to her. There was no way out. She had to explain what happened. Her uncle told a well-dressed man that her father had invested. He even showed the man the evidence. It was a very beautiful card, although it was very dark, but it's all flickering. This is the kind of card that looks like this. The issuance method of this card is from the Duke of Paleton's family. Instantly, everyone was shocked. Some condemned the Marquis's crimes. Some questioned the authenticity of this matter. And there were even those who doubted whether the Duke really paid the money. If we can't dig out the magic stone by then, the Duke's family will be accused of fraud. The Duke behind him said nothing. Lulu turned around and found the Duke staring intently at him. How did you hear those words? Lulu thought he was being suspected. A slight misstep could lead to death. Shivering, she explained that when her uncle met, she was polishing her uncle's shoes. The aide was quite puzzled. For the past few years, the Duke's residence has been giving the Marquis a staggering amount of support money every month. How could the young lady need to do such menial tasks? Lulu hurriedly explained that it wasn't like that. Her uncle said that her father left her without any money, so she needed to wash dishes, clean, and do the chores. He only agreed to take me in and feed me. Everyone present didn't believe it. The Marquis is clearly a die-hard doting father. How could he possibly do something like that to a child? Lulu tried her best to make her tone more fitting for her age, but still couldn't gain the trust of those present. He was terrified that just one word could cost him his life, so I immediately knelt down and started polishing the shoes. Tears of grievance kept falling. I tried hard to recreate the scene from that time, just hoping to be believed. Enough. Who are you questioning here? In an instant, the Duke's furious aura swept through Lulu. It made everyone present feel breathless. It reminded you of a meaningless response. The Duke, feeling heartbroken, wanted to touch his daughter, but withdrew his hand instead. Understanding his feelings, Lulu quickly grabbed the raging magic of the Duke. He was instantly soothed. He picked up his daughter and held her tightly in his arms. Not knowing how much time had passed, Lulu was in the bedroom. She slowly wakes up. She thought it was the maid Anna who had brought her back. Seeing no one around, she hurriedly took out the old family heirloom to study it. The moment she opened the book, a dazzling light burst forth. The once tattered book became brand new. What forbidden magic could be inside this new book? When she excitedly opened it, she was instantly dumbfounded. The book was completely blank. The next second, a mind jumped out. Summoning medium seal lifted. Attribute usage restrictions lifted. The girl used all her might to coax her Duke father. She obtained the family heirloom that unlocked the skill. Suddenly, a system voice rang out. Please use gold coins to summon the novel extraction ability. Reward, 1,000 gold coins. I didn't expect to get the desired task right at the beginning. Lulu waved her arms casually. But there was no reaction. Based on Luen's countless intuitions, it must be that. After confirming that no one was around, he recited that cringeworthy incantation. O existence with blood as cold as soda. I hope you can appear before me immediately. Show the power to shatter this frustrating plot. This is truly embarrassing. Fortunately, the plot really did trigger. Please say the name of the novel you wish to summon. My choice is, even though it's a wealthy family, I'm going to run away. As long as I have money, I won't have to worry about being kicked out. However, the stark words insufficient gold coins appeared. It's just as impoverished as ever. Suddenly, the system prompted again whether to use a 5,000 gold coin lottery ticket. Lulu happily responded loudly. She prayed to receive 5,000 gold coins, but But after the congratulations, what she actually received was only 100 gold coins. Currently, she has a total of 1,100 gold coins. Her luck was indeed as bad as always. Suddenly, she remembered there was still a message she hadn't confirmed. Lulu didn't hold out much hope. I didn't expect the reward to be a novel rental voucher, and it's for a full 3 days. It's even better than 5,000 gold coins. Lulu happily knelt in the direction of the Duke's office. It seems that collecting gold coins is still the most important thing right now. Suddenly, I heard your voice from outside the door. Lulu quickly hid the book. You must be hungry, right? I saw you sleeping so soundly that I didn't wake you up. I never expected you would fall into such a deep sleep on your lap. Lulu could hardly believe what she was hearing. At first, you were just nodding off. Then you simply sprawled out and fell into a deep sleep. Everyone couldn't help but laugh. It was you who personally carried them back. Lulu is really feeling like she wants to die right now. Dad must think I'm such a hassle. Lucy hurriedly explained. He truly cares about you, my lady. Normally, he finds measuring sizes troublesome, but today he instructed the tailor to come and make a custom fit for you. So he's just a bit inexperienced with these matters. The other maids also wholeheartedly agreed. Ever since you arrived, it's common to see His Grace display a different side than before. After all, the Duke's family is not like ordinary people. Lulu was quite puzzled about what this meant, and Lucy quickly signaled to avoid the topic. Therefore, Lulu believed that the Paladin family must be hiding some secrets. She needed to find a way to inquire. On the other side, Lulu's Marquis uncle was in a fit of rage. Because of the Duke's intervention, he lost all his investments. Even the bank refused to extend the repayment. Does the Duke know about the rumors he spread? Maliciously, he devised a plan, and called his daughter Clara. He wanted her to go to the Duke's residence to gather information. Don't you miss your cousin? Go to the Duke's residence and see how he is. That Sundra Clara doesn't consider Lulu to be her sister at all. She believes that even if they meet, it should be Lulu coming to see her. After the Marquis's persistent flattery, she reluctantly agreed. She acted as if she was doing a favor. This young lady has personally arrived. She will definitely be extremely grateful. At that moment, Lulu, who was having a meal, couldn't help but sneeze. The girl wanted to bribe the maid. She carefully drew a picture. The maid, Anna, praised her for the beautiful glass she had drawn. But Lulu pouted and said she was mistaken. This is how my sister Anna and I hold hands. Hearing this, Anna was moved to tears. She wouldn't treat her as a family heirloom. Generations have worshipped it. Although Lulu didn't understand, she was greatly shocked. She also painted a picture for the other sisters. Some said they would take the painting to the grave. Some said they would cover their rooms with it. They would look at it every day before sleeping. And some were moved by the love hearts on it. He pulled out a small knife and was about to dig out his heart as an offering to Lulu. A normally rational adult had become so insane. At that moment, Anna announced that it was time for a walk. Today, they were going to the glass greenhouse. Lulu couldn't wait to see it. But she ran too fast. I fell on my butt. Suddenly, the Duke appeared in front of me. He asked what I was doing. I fell down. The Duke looked quite puzzled. Anna explained that children often fall down. The Duke had his hands in his pockets. He scoffed dismissively. So frail. Lulu, out of control, reached out and acted coquettishly. Daddy, will you help me up? The old father sighed. Silently, he lifted her. Seeing his daughter's injured knee, his face instantly darkened. He strode towards the bedroom with her in his arms. Watching the wound deepen in color, he decided to apply medicine to his daughter himself. The maidservants nearby whispered amongst themselves. Your Grace, can you apply it properly? Won't it worsen the young lady's injury? But what everyone didn't expect was that although the Duke's movements were stiff, they were very gentle, carefully, afraid of hurting his daughter. This made Lulu feel a flutter in her heart. The clothing store sent someone over, my lord, and the meeting is about to start. You should let the young lady down now. The Duke's expression darkened. Without saying a word, he walked out with Lulu. The vassals waiting for the meeting could only follow behind. At this moment, the third generation is a clerk at a clothing store. They are engaged in a heated discussion. For many consecutive years, they have been making dresses for this legendary little princess. Each one is worth a fortune. No one knows what she looks like. The clothing next to them is Utra's. They are even more anxious. The direct bloodline of the Duke's family is characterized by jet black hair and blood-red eyes, as well as a powerful aura that is more ferocious than that of a beast. Therefore, he constantly brainwashed himself, telling himself that even if he looked like a miniature version of the Duke, he shouldn't appear too disappointed. However, when he turned his head to look, he was instantly stunned. He even spurted out a nosebleed. What's the story with this cute and petite girl? She only snapped out of it when the Duke coldly asked him to take her measurements. However, the Duke couldn't bear to put his daughter down. He took the measurements while holding her. Seeing this, Utra began to put his designer's philosophy into practice. Miss, lying so obediently in your arms, truly shows how much she loves you. The Duke was overjoyed. So proud and aloof, he insists on sticking to me. What a hassle. Hayleton. The vassals seemed to have received the signal. They began to flatter and fawn. Our young lady really does like you. Last time, I fell asleep on your lap. It was incredibly comfortable. Look, miss, hold the Duke tight. Don't you think your expression is adorable? My own son doesn't even recognize me as his father anymore. I'm so envious of you, my lord. The Duke's smile is harder to suppress than an AK. Immediately, he quickly resumed his serious expression. Jia-Chen on the side launched another attack on the miss. How much do you like him? Everyone has Dad's best qualities imprinted on their faces. However, the next second, Lulu raised her fist and gestured with her hand, saying that this much was only a gentle gesture with her hand. Everyone present instantly broke into a cold sweat. I even thought about where I would be buried. But I didn't expect Lulu to suddenly change her tone and take away just a bit. I like everything. My love for Dad is like the entire universe, just taking away this tiny bit. The retainers were all utterly charmed. They all exclaimed that an angel had descended. However, the Duke was staring and said he didn't hear clearly just now. Lulu knew what that meant. So she shyly repeated it again. Did you hear what my daughter said? Yes, Mississippi. She really loves you, your grace. You are so beloved by your daughter. I'd love to know your secret. The Duke was secretly delighted. The next second, he surprisingly asked why that tiny bit had to be removed. Lulu hadn't considered this question before. She answered instinctively, because I want to stay with you forever. Zoyo would certainly like you better. The Duke hadn't expected to be so important to his daughter. Embarrassed, he turned his head away, unable to meet her gaze. But this led Lulu to misunderstand. Meanwhile, Yutra unfolded the clothes she had brought. She discovered that the sizes were considerably smaller than before. He didn't know that the previous clothes had been appropriated by the Marquis for his daughter Clara, but the fitting of the sample sizes was still fine. However, the Duke, having a second thought, refused to let his daughter try them on. He directly bought all the clothes. I'll take them all. Just alter them to his size. The designer exclaimed that he'd struck it rich. You should know that each one is priceless. But I have a condition. The cuff should either be just right, or simply shorter. Lulu instantly recalled what happened 2 days ago. She understood that the Duke didn't want him to remember the painful memories of his past, shining shoes for others. She was instantly moved, and leaned against her father's chest. The daughter of the Marquis of Devian, Clara, arrived uninvited. The moment she saw the Duke's residence, her eyes instantly lit up. The level of luxury was simply mesmerizing. However, this was only the Duke's annex. When the carriage stopped at the main building, Clara was met with skepticism from the butler. I have not received any news of Miss Talunka's arrival. Clara disdainfully stated that she didn't need to ask for permission to visit her cousin. Then she strode right in. The moment the door swung open, the luxury of this place amazed her. Then, there appeared the portrait of the Duke. His handsome appearance had already captivated Clara. She even began to fantasize about being cherished by the Duke like a daughter. It is said that Duke Paladenton cannot feel sadness. Such people are often lonely. Uncle must also hope that I can get close to him, to ease his loneliness. This is something a dirty illegitimate daughter cannot achieve. Clara thought excitedly, as if she would have everything in the next moment. But when he opened the door and saw Lulu, he was stunned. Did he originally have such hair color? He's a completely different person. How did he do it? Bai Lianhua went to the Duke's mansion to humiliate her cousin. Unexpectedly, her formerly scruffy cousin had undergone a complete transformation. Seeing herself ignored, Clara gritted her teeth and called Lulu shameless. Lulu wouldn't put up with her. She didn't even bother to greet them before showing up. Isn't your skin thicker? Clara's face turned beet red from the remark, but she only took a second to regain that annoying expression. I came here just because you said you missed me so much, but you treat me like this. Isn't that a bit shameless? After all, you're not the daughter of a duke. Just a few short words made Lulu break down, and Clara smiled triumphantly. I heard from my dad that your mom cheated and gave birth to you, the dirty illegitimate child. How can someone like you be so shameless? To keep the name Palatin in the Duke's residence, Lulu was immersed in sadness, when a sudden task popped up. Quickly change this plot that's as suffocating as a sweet potato. Success rewards a 2,000 gold lottery ticket. Failure results in the temporary loss of the reborn special abilities. Although it's a strange task window, it feels somewhat familiar. His fighting spirit was instantly ignited. Hey, are you talking to me? Who else would I be talking to? It's just you here. Clara is furious. How dare you ignore me, you of all people? Lulu doesn't care at all. She calmly says, this is just the beginning. This infuriates Clara. Just because you're wearing fancy clothes, you think you're something special. My uncle only took you in out of pity. If you're going to be so arrogant, you will be kicked out. It seems my father's education had no effect on you. Lulu is not willing to back down. She displays the demeanor that comes with her status. Miss Marquis Talenka. How dare you call me a maid of Palatin? You should address me as Miss Maid. Haven't you learned such basic etiquette? Lulu was impressed by her own appearance. Clara, on the other hand, angrily emphasized that she was the illegitimate child born from her mother's affair. Can you take responsibility for what you just said? Of course, then let's ask about it. With that, Lulu rang the bell. She wanted to verify with the coming butler. Unexpectedly, Clara suddenly yelled and sat down, and she grimaced at the approaching maid, Lian Mei. Why did you say such awful things? I only came here for you. Lian clearly still treats Lulu like the humble servant she used to be. She immediately scolded him. Lulu was instantly trapped by memories of past beatings. Luckily, she had the support of the servant sisters from the Duke's mansion. Lian remained stubborn. It was Lulu who made the first mistake. Then she took out a torn piece of clothing, saying it was a gift Clara had prepared for Lulu. Didn't you really want this dress? I won't hold your harsh words against you. Let's make up. After all, I'm the older sister. Lulu was momentarily speechless, unsure how to respond. Suddenly, a cold voice came from behind me. The Duke said, the maid who stole my daughter's clothes has so much to say. He was just dazed by my daughter. Yet he thought his symptoms were the result of a curse. It turns out, an hour ago, the Duke was still at the palace attending a meeting. His powerful presence made everyone break into a sweat. Because they couldn't reach a consensus, someone suggested taking a break before making a decision. After all, it had been several hours of continuous discussion. Suddenly, one of the ministers said it was too late. He estimated there wouldn't be enough time to buy lightning puffs for his daughter. When asked why he didn't let a servant go buy them, the Count stated that what a servant buys cannot compare to what a father buys personally. Others nodded in agreement. The Duke listened silently. He had already begun to imagine his daughter joyfully welcoming him and giving him a kiss. But lightning puffs are very popular. I guess they're sold out by now. The Duke seemed to see his daughter's disappointed face. This was something he couldn't tolerate. So his expression became even more frightening. Everyone thought it was because their casual chat angered the Duke. But unexpectedly, the Duke asked Viscount Teljo, where is that dessert shop? It's obviously just a simple question. But Viscount has even thought about how he died. Therefore, no one dares to speak. There is only one careless person to respond. But he also shut up under the Duke's aura. The meeting continues. At this time, the adjutant came and whispered a few words. When the Duke heard it, he immediately had to leave in a hurry. Suddenly, there was a commotion at the scene. What urgent matter made the Duke so anxious? The aide really wanted to tell them not to worry. The last time he abruptly left the meeting was because he heard Lulu was cleaning windows at home. The reason he hadn't attended meetings recently was that Lulu said she wanted to stick with him. And today, I only heard that Clara came to find Lulu. Compared to the Marquis of Tarenka using the Duke's family name to deceive, the fact that they mistreated Lulu actually angers the Duke more. This is a very strange thing. After all, the Paladin Duke's family is different from ordinary people. They are born without any emotions. They don't need any communication either. But Lulu is completely different. It's truly heartwarming to see how much you care for the young lady. Because she is of the Paratone bloodline, it is my duty to protect her until she comes of age. Don't you think the young lady is lovely and charming? The Duke clearly remembers Lulu's smiling face, but stubbornly refuses to admit it. Your question is not unreasonable. After all, there's more than one or two strange things about the youngest. He falls down too easily. And he cries. He tells me he misses me. He even kissed my face. He fell asleep on my lap. What's even stranger is, as long as I'm with him, I always want to feed him. I want to do something for him. I even want to bite him. My heart always feels tingly, as if there are bugs crawling inside. It seems that both the mental and physical symptoms are quite severe. The Duke of Emotions even believes this is a curse cast by Marquis Tarenka using bloodshed. The adjutant has already understood. This is clearly a classic case of a daughter slave. But he didn't speak up. He just felt that one day, the Duke would find out what this unusual symptom really was. Before leaving, the Duke had his aide inquire about the dessert shop mentioned by the nobles. He also asked to gather information on other shops that specialize in pudding and toy stores for children. Then, the Duke, his face filled with fury, boarded the carriage home. That White Lotus dared to slander the Duke in front of the Duke, a daughter-obsessed man. He'll show her what death means immediately. Just now, the Duke heard that the Marquis of Tarenka's daughter had come to see Lulu. He immediately ended the meeting and rushed home, afraid that Lulu had been harmed. The girl who stole my daughter's clothes is still so talkative. Clara, who lacks awareness, rushed over with a smile, but the Duke completely ignored her. He walked straight over and picked up his daughter. He asked why she was holding a ragged piece of clothing. Such actions frustrated the narcissistic Clara. After all, she was just a filthy illegitimate child. Why did I receive the Duke's favor? He pretended to be pitiful. Do you hate me? Even so, I will forgive you. After all, you were only deceived by lies. I apologize to you on behalf of my cousin. The Duke repeated, forgive, in confusion. This made Clara happily think she had him hooked. He lied to you, saying I stole his clothes. I understand. He must have told that lie to win your favor. That's probably why you misunderstood me. Lulu grew up amidst malice. But she can't imagine how heartbreaking it is to be misunderstood by her father. Even the Duke's expression suddenly became very serious. He sharply questioned, then what about the dress I saw earlier, when I went to the Marquis of Tarenka's house to pick up my daughter? Why were you wearing the dress I prepared for her? That's when Lulu realized that the Duke's comment about being shabby that day was not dissatisfaction with him, but rather about his attire. At this moment, the father and daughter finally cleared up the misunderstanding. Clara, who was nearby, was clearly anxious. She rebutted loudly. That is the birthday dress Dad bought. It's the same every year. Now the Duke knows that his daughter's clothes are taken away every year. That's my dress. Not this idiot's. The Duke was furious. How dare he humiliate his own daughter like this? The moment the magic energy dispersed, Clara explained in fear. Everyone calls him an idiot, including his father and the people in the mansion. At this moment, the Duke seemed like a llama rising from the ground. Even adults can't stand it, let alone children. Haven't you heard the rumors about me? Everyone says Duke Palatine is a ruthless killer. A man who feels no sorrow. The tears he sheds are others' blood. Clara still dares to speak boldly, saying Lulu is the dirty illegitimate child who stole his position. The Duke instantly becomes even more terrifying. His dark aura erupts, leaving Clara nearly breathless. At the last moment, the Duke barely managed to suppress himself. It's better to let you live. Get lost, and after things calm down. Lulu sat on the Duke's lap, drinking milk. He wasn't clear about what just happened. He only felt the surroundings suddenly darken, but it feels very soft and comfortable. When my vision becomes clear again, everything has already come to an end. At this moment, the guards suddenly entered and knelt down. The Duke questioned sharply how to hold those who fail to protect the family accountable. Everyone shouted in unison, asking for a death sentence. It was my moment of negligence. I failed to look after the young lady. I am willing to die to atone for my crime. Lulu was completely stunned. Could it be that they would really self-harm over such a trivial matter? However, the Duke's face was impassive. The attendants also drew their weapons, aiming them at their necks. It was clearly serious. At the critical moment, Lulu was born to stop this. No, just because my daughter was slightly hurt. The Duke demands all the guards to pay with their lives. Lulu hurriedly raised her voice. She insisted that the two just had a little quarrel. Children grow up playing in roughhousing like this, so they shouldn't be punished. The Duke turned to his aide with a cold face, seeking an answer. After receiving affirmation, he finally relaxed. Seeing his daughter with milk powder all over her face, he joked that she had grown a beard. Then he naturally wiped it off and put it in his mouth. Everyone present was shocked to the core. The Duke actually exhibited such unusual behavior. In an instant, their gazes at Lulu became sparkling. Countless text boxes popped up. The vassals are immensely grateful for your kindness. The advisors express their admiration for you. The steward, maid, and servants show you their respect. A reward of 5,000 gold coins is granted. Lulu was instantly overjoyed. It's not 5,000 lottery tickets, but a solid 5,000 gold coins. The aide beside him was grinning and flattering him. It seems the young lady is in a good mood. She must feel quite comfortable sitting on your lap. The Duke, clearly overjoyed, still proudly claimed he couldn't understand why his daughter was like this. Only Lulu knew they were overthinking it, but she didn't want to rain on their parade. After it ended, he collapsed onto the bed, exhausted. Suddenly, the system displayed a partial mission failure. The reborn buff immediately disappeared. Lulu looked at the penalty, completely baffled. She couldn't understand what buff she had originally possessed. Just then, the Duke knocked and entered. The soda that was punished for going flat suddenly activated. Lulu didn't feel that anything was wrong at first. In the next second, she was in a bad state. So she wanted to eat and crawled around on the bed. Then she shouted loudly, "Food." The Duke still looked puzzled. Lulu thought there was none. "I'm so wronged." He then shouted, "Then punish me." He even patted the Duke's thigh at the end. After doing all this, he briefly regained his senses. So the punishment is the loss of the reborn's thinking ability. Wouldn't that turn him into a child? Lulu's remedial class, massaging the Duke's legs. Afraid for her own life. Suddenly the Duke asked about the family heirloom. Lulu turned into a little child again. She blurted out that the book had become very beautiful. It's been well taken care of. The next moment, the Duke started to glow. Lulu reached up to touch the heart on his head. "I praised her for being beautiful like this. I praised you. You should say thank you. I will also thank you." Lulu sneaked a glance at the Duke. She wanted to see if he was happy after being praised, but the Duke smiled for a moment. Yet he asked about that book. "You said that book became very beautiful. I'm quite curious." At this moment, Lulu's rationality returned once again. She was already drenched in sweat. Inside the body of a 3-year-old girl lived an adult. But due to punishment, she could switch back to a child at any moment. Now that she was clear-headed, she decided to confess and seek leniency. But she urgently stopped before speaking. After all, that book is so precious. If it were to be found out that he had changed, the Duke would probably think he was a troublemaker. Everyone would also scoff at him. But he still mustered the courage to want to be an honest person. However, when he looked up, the Duke's face was even darker than the bottom of a pot. So, under the intense pressure, Lulu switched back to being a child again. Shivering, I lied and said the book wasn't damaged. Then I just started crying. "You're not my dad. The scary dad belongs to someone else. I didn't mean to mess up the book like that. You just scare me like this. And you're glaring at me, and my dad is very handsome. He also has diamond mines. My dad loves me very much. He wouldn't be this harsh with me." The air instantly fell silent. Only Lulu's drawer could be heard. Logically, the Duke should be disappointed by his daughter's irresponsibility and lies. But now, he doesn't want to blame her. Instead, he wants to comfort her, but he's rejected before his hand touches her head. "I hate you. You are not my father." The Duke was at a loss for how to respond. He quietly stepped back. "Xiaoingzi, answer me honestly. Do I look very ugly?" The butler looked bewildered. The most handsome man in the empire is talking nonsense. After learning what had just happened, the butler could hardly believe it. Just then, Lulu's maids came out chatting and laughing. The Duke immediately approached them, and asked what they were carrying. Under the Duke's intimidating presence, Anna was the first to hand over what she had. However, the Duke was stunned by the pineapple above. Could this be some kind of secret code? Anna shyly said it was sent by Lulu. The other town girls happily started to introduce. "This is how I held hands with the lady. This is how I held the lady tightly. I received 3 of them. Of course, these can't compare to yours. After all, you are her father. She must have given you many gifts, right? What did she draw for you? It must be a handsome father." Everyone looked forward with anticipation. However, the Duke said with a gloomy face, "I received nothing." Instantly, everyone's jaws dropped. On the other hand, Lulu, having regained her composure, was regretfully banging her head against the bed. A terrible punishment. "It's all over now. It's a permanent, fatal blow." The Duke said just one sentence, and cleared up the misunderstanding between father and daughter. Just now, the Duke intended to comfort his frightened daughter. But unexpectedly, she cried because of him. And the maids have all received the message. The Duke, as a father, hasn't got a clue. The fearless maid instantly transforms into Detective Conan. There is only one truth. That is, the young lady is quite disgusted with you. The family hurriedly covered her mouth. And Anna, in order to salvage the situation, asked Lulu if she said anything while crying. She said, "I'm not her dad," and said she hates me. You all got too excited. Maybe you didn't hold her or comfort her gently with a smile when you cheered her up. The Duke was quite puzzled as to why this was happening. Anna was shocked by the Duke's ignorance. "Go and check on the young lady again. Since you made her cry, you should be the one to comfort her." The Duke was very conflicted about this, but decided to go back again. "But do you know what Fan Fan and Bing Bing are? And Bing Bing?" Such words would instantly provoke a sharp reaction from everyone. Lulu, who signed up and stayed alone in her room, is feeling really down. She isn't even a biological daughter, and she says things like this. It's really too much. Anna asks Lulu if she wants something to eat, but Lulu has no interest in it at all because of this. Anna pretends to sigh in helplessness. It seems the young lady still prefers what His Grace gives her. Yes, Lulu hurriedly and loudly stopped. The next moment, the Duke walked in holding food. With a tragic expression, he said to his daughter, "Let's eat." Lulu looked completely bewildered, yet she still ate all the food. "Does it suit your taste?" The Duke's sudden politeness left Lulu confused and stunned. Unbeknownst to her, the Duke reminded her again, "Please answer my question." Lulu was even more at a loss. The Duke beside her mumbled, holding the small bills. "They clearly told me to respect the child. What's the problem?" The Duke sighed. He crumpled the paper directly. He decided to have a heart-to-heart talk with the child for the first time. "Were you scared today? No one here can hurt you. Neither the Marquis Talankar nor his daughter." Lulu then realized that the Duke had just arrived in the room. He thought he was frightened by Clara. That's why he specifically came in to comfort him. Because he didn't know when he would turn into a child. Lulu decided to behave well. "Actually, what I just said about hating you was a lie." "Really? Then what do you want to say to what I said?" Actually, Lulu really wants to ask the Duke why he left him in that place. Why has he never appeared? But still, to please, he smiles and says nothing. However, the Duke unexpectedly exposes it. "But I left you there for so many years." Lulu instinctively said that the Duke must have had his reasons. He must have had his reasons. He must have his own reasons. "Now that you're home, it's all right. I hope you don't think like that. No matter what the reasons are, I shouldn't have left you in that place. So you can cry your heart out." Hearing this, Lulu's emotions overcame her reason again. Tears uncontrollably flowed down her face. She pounded her Duke father's chest, constantly accusing him. "Why did you come so late? Why did you leave me alone? Do you know how scared I am? Do you know how much I miss you? The Duke looked at his daughter, seeing her sad expression. He was nearly grinding his back teeth. He hurriedly pulled her into his arms. It was my fault. I'm sorry. Those short 8 words warmed Lulu's heart. At this moment, the two of them felt like true ladies. And the dukedom belongs only to him. A 4-year-old child doesn't even know his own name. The Duke's father was furious on the spot. That day, the Duke was holding an emergency meeting. A constant chattering noise came from outside. Everyone's hearts were in their throats. After all, the Duke wouldn't tolerate such noise. As the sound became urgent, the Duke suddenly became serious. He stood up without saying a word. He opened the window and jumped into the courtyard. Everyone was confused. Their eyes followed him closely. It turned out that the source of the sound was Lulu. At this moment, his punishment was taking effect randomly. Daddy, come catch me. The adorable appearance is like a little cotton ball. Everyone was extremely anxious, fearing that the Duke would lose his temper at him. But unexpectedly, the Duke picked him up, and even smiled while reminding him, "It will hurt if you fall." Who would have believed such words would come from the lips of a bloodthirsty Duke? Before the meeting began, I have something important to say. Everyone needs to pay close attention. Once these words are spoken, everyone present became extremely tense. Even the Duke, while adjusting Lulu's shoes, said, "If such a sound is made, there's no need to worry. But if such an urgent sound is made, everyone must immediately enter a state of readiness. If you don't want to know the consequences of something happening to my daughter, then remember this clearly." In an instant, everyone was forced to be pumped up, enthusiastically declaring they would treat this sound as a call to arms. For the young lady, we will give it our all. At this moment, Lulu is released from her punishment. She feels utterly ashamed. At this time, the retainers mention whether to let Lulu participate in the victory ceremony. The Duke thinks his daughter is still too young. There's no need for others to see her so soon. In that case, I'll remove the young lady's name from the list. Upon hearing this, Lulu's eyes suddenly sparkled. She tugged on the Duke's sleeve. In a low voice, she asked, "Daddy, what's my name? And how old am I now?" Everyone looked astonished. Even the meeting was urgently interrupted. In the past, at the Marquis's residence, no one has ever called his name. He is always referred to as the illegitimate child, a dirty piece of trash. Being a fool, he really wants to know his own name. Lulu thinks she has caused trouble. Sitting alone in the room, she guesses wildly. There's no need to reminisce. Suddenly, the Duke's voice came through. Although he still has a serious look on his face, he now understands that his father just isn't good at expressing himself. Although I don't know my name or age, I don't feel sorry for myself at all, because I have a name. The Duke smiled and poked his daughter's cheek, showing his agreement. That's right, Luyadisha. Your name is Luyadisha. Lulu's memories were awakened. As a baby, she vaguely remembered this name. Say it again, please. Okay, Luyadisha. And so, time passed to the next morning. Lulu opened her eyes and saw a drool mask. The Duke's father stared straight at him. The girl opened her eyes to find herself in the Duke's father's arms. She instantly recoiled, as if she'd been flung back hundreds of meters. She was utterly bewildered as to why her father was sleeping there. Suddenly, the memories of last night flooded back. It was the punishment taking effect. He had cried and pleaded, refusing to let her go. He said he would hate his father if she left. In an instant, he felt utterly ashamed. The Duke affectionately called him a little crybaby, while carefully wiping away his tears. Then he took off his outer garment, which had been wet with Lulu's saliva. A gruesome wound was revealed. Does it hurt a lot? The Duke said it was fine. But his hand covered his daughter's eyes, afraid that she might get scared because of it. Lulu took the initiative to pull her hand down. She asked if this was an injury from the battlefield. The Duke denied it without thinking. Lulu didn't press further. She simply crawled over and began to blow on it. Injured areas should be blown on like this to ease the pain. This is an old injury. It doesn't hurt anymore. But that's because I couldn't blow on it for you. As long as you're hurt, it will hurt. Let it all fly away. The Duke was touched by this. After all, those unkind stares were the same. Then, when you first came to the manor and fell ill, I should do the same to you. This is something Lulu doesn't know. At that time, the Duke would visit him every night. It was because he returned early from the front lines. The Emperor was very displeased. Therefore, he had to go to the palace every day. He wouldn't return until late at night. I never felt pain while I was on the front lines, because I only wanted to take you home quickly. These are things Lulu never knew. He always thought he was abandoned. The Duke touched his daughter's face with regret. He apologized sincerely, and Lulu forgave him immediately. But if I stayed at my own home, even if you weren't there, it would be much better. But the Duke had his reasons. You are a special child, because you were born without magic. Lulu thought she would be suspected of not being his biological daughter. Instead, the Duke simply said that she, lacking magic, was no different from an ordinary infant. If I stayed at home, I would die from being unable to withstand the magic my brothers emanated. Things would be different if I were at home. But I had to go to war then. Marquis Talankar, your uncle, volunteered to take care of you, to protect you. I sent you there. During that time, I also received reports, saying you were living well there. The Duke apologized to his daughter with remorse. Lulu knows, the Duke is only protecting him because he lacks a magic contract. And the root of all this trouble is Marquis Talenka. I hope you understand. I never intended to abandon you. In the end, Lulu still asked the question that had troubled her for so long. Even if I don't have a magic contract, are you still my dad? The Duke's attitude was firm and serious. He promised it would be so, no matter what happened. Lulu finally couldn't hold it in any longer. She burst into tears. The two embraced tightly. He had made many demands of the devil before, but actually, he, an orphan since childhood, only ever wanted a loving family. That's all. The girl only realized today that she is 4 years old. Her birthday is October 11th, and this year has already passed. The Duke father noticed her disappointment. He promised that her 5th birthday celebration would be more grand than the royal family. Lulu knew that her father felt guilty about the past, so she offered words of comfort. Dad gives me a dress every year, as a birthday gift, although it was taken by Clara, but I still feel very happy. Speaking of this, the Duke is very angry. That woman, who doesn't know her place, actually dared to take what belongs to you. The Duke looks shy, but Lulu is very happy. Because even on the battlefield, fighting to the death, father never forgot his little daughter. I thought you didn't like my birthday. The Duke was puzzled by his daughter's words. Lulu had always been afraid to ask about her mother. But today, she decided to find out. Uncle said that on the day I was born, mother became a star in the sky. The Duke's anger caused demonic energy to disperse, but he still struggled to restrain himself. Embracing his daughter, he patiently explained, your mother didn't become a star in the sky that day. She not only nursed you, but also personally named you. Lulu smiled happily. Now that I know, I like my name even more. It seems that mom really likes me. She loves you very much. She can't even bear to put you down from her arms. Your birthday is a day that should be celebrated, so it will never be spent casually from now on. The Duke's hands are rough, but in Lulu's eyes, they are the biggest and warmest hands. Although he was curious about his mother's death, he didn't ask to avoid upsetting his father. He didn't press the issue. We made a pact. You'll always be my dad. The Duke smiled, extending a hand to pinky swear with his daughter. But she pulled him into a childish gesture. Stamp, signature, and copy. After doing all this, Lulu finally felt relieved. No matter what happens in the future, you are still my father. I wonder where the little guy got his strength from. He actually made the Duke's hand swell up. Then the Duke hit him unexpectedly. Even if I'm not handsome, is it the same? Even if I have no money, do I still have to be completely obedient to you? Lulu just thought about what was said before the punishment took effect, still unsure how to respond. The Duke asked and answered himself, you don't have to worry. I meet all these conditions. No wonder he is so confident, being the #1 beauty and the #1 wealthy person. Does that mean the conditions for being completely obedient to me are also met? The Duke replied with a smile. Of course, he firmly thought to himself. Even if it meant going to his death, he would gladly accept it. At the previous meeting, it was learned that Lulu didn't know her own name. All the noble ministers were very angry. After all, a few years ago, even the support money was embezzled. After the Duke cut off Taranka's funding sources, investors with keen insight began to withdraw their investments. And the big players who invested in the magic stones were also watching closely. Nowadays, it is an era of money and power. Compared to the impoverished nobility, the wealthy bourgeoisie hold the advantage. The Duke clearly knows that when Taranka gradually loses everything like this, I will feel incredibly miserable and painful. But compared to my daughter's ordeal, this is far from enough. The 4-year-old girl finally summoned her novel extraction ability for the first time. Just now, Lulu was comfortably lying in bed, but she kept hearing the incessant ringing of the alarm clock. She angrily got up and yelled, but then a text box popped up. Duke Payatun is planning to attack Tamenka. Lulu was very happy to hear this news, but the system predicted his prediction. You wouldn't be happy, would you? The real soda plot is to take revenge with your own hands. Lulu was completely astonished. From a common sense perspective, how is a 4-year-old supposed to get revenge? However, the system didn't stop. It demanded that he reclaim the property Taranka bought with his child support payments. Refusing the task would increase the likelihood of the penalty taking effect, while the penalty would be lifted during the task. Seeing this, Lulu instantly changed her mind. She accepted the task on the spot. He opened a nearby drawer. The rental rights for the novel are now enabled. System voice activation. Please state the novel you wish to summon. Ming Lulu's little hand 100. I've decided, this is it. In the reverse harem, she seduced 10 men, extracting the abilities of the female lead. Actually, he didn't expect to summon this novel either, because the plot was rather boring. I stopped watching halfway through. Based on my current level, I can only randomly obtain one ability. But Lulu confidently reached out her hand, believing it would compensate for the 100 unfortunate experiences. Ability effect. The emotional state of a designated target will be displayed as information. This is essentially mind reading. However, because I didn't finish reading the book, I can't obtain its full power. But it should be more than enough to deal with the Marquis. Meanwhile, Marquis Talankard is being forced to return the investments. Not only is he slow to produce the checks for the adoption fees from back then, he also claims the Duke deliberately spread false information to drive away other investors. This is the only way to swallow the profits whole. A few people remain skeptical. After all, this kind of lie is easily exposed. But in everyone's eyes, the Payatun family is indeed infamous. Doing something like this isn't impossible. This is the artist's request to see both parties' contracts, to prove that the Duke did indeed participate in the investment. But the cunning Taranka brushed it off with a few words. Still, he asked for some time to think it over. Just then, the butler announced a visitor. It was the Paladin couple. The man was very pleased to learn that his abused niece had returned. He thought, she must have escaped back due to the torment from Duke Paladin. If I coaxed him properly at this moment, I could use him to swindle a bit more money. Then I'll claim that the Duke heard that everyone was withdrawing their investments. So he added more to the investment. The man confidently thought the scene of the greenhouse garden would surely captivate Lulu. She'd be crying and begging to come back. But when he excitedly pushed open the door, he found Lulu dressed very elegantly. It's completely different from what I imagined. So I pretended to be calm and asked, I heard you're here to see me. Lulu smiled and replied, I'm here to get my money back. Then she silently used her mind-reading ability on the man. Hearing this, Talanka instantly became incredibly ferocious. He looked like he was going to devour Lulu alive. The guards nearby wanted to step forward to protect her, but Lulu stopped them. I don't need to be polite to the guy who stole my money. The Marquis's face twisted instantly. He accused Lulu of being an ungrateful person. I didn't leave you on the street. I raised you all this time. You should be grateful. At this moment, the man wondered if Lulu had taken the wrong medicine or was mentally unstable. Aren't the magic or mine and mining rights all bought with my upbringing expenses? The man continued to argue that the investment money came from Duke Paladin. So in the end, was it all purchased with Paladin's money? Although Talanka was very angry about being played by Lulu, she regained her calm demeanor. This left Lulu quite puzzled. Isn't this what she was worried about? Lulu's probing about the magical mine indeed caused the man to feel uneasy. Why are you so flustered? It's as if he's trying desperately to hide something. It's truly pitiful to see. It's obvious that the man's patience has reached its limit. He's deeply shaken inside. Just then, a servant came over and whispered a few words. Talenka hurriedly left the place. Lulu's heart was almost broken. Now how am I supposed to complete the mission? Just as he was scheming to steal the documents, a nearby guard mentioned that a noble was present, seemingly prepared for a divine punishment. He decided to wait for the marquis to pass. Lulu instantly understood what had happened. Excellent. Time for a public execution. Reception room. Several noble investors decided to cancel their decision to withdraw their investments. This delighted the marquis. However, in the next moment, Lulu's voice rang out, I think everyone should reconsider. Hello everyone, I am Lady Ryadisha, daughter of Duke Paladon. Greetings to you all. A 4-year-old girl only used a little trick to reveal the true nature of the malicious uncle to all of us. Just now, Lulu burst into the reception room to stop the nobles present from canceling their investment withdrawal. Taranka exploded, telling Lulu to get out, but was stopped by others. What do you mean by asking us to reconsider just now? Lulu didn't rush to answer. Instead, she first gave them a compliment. This undoubtedly puts everyone in a good mood. Then, throwing out his own question, Uncle said my dad invested in the magic stone mine. Why would he say that? It turns out that Paladin's investment guarantees that there is magic in the magic stone. Everyone believes that families with magical energy can sense magic. This is equivalent to 100% victory. But my dad denied it. Talanka hurriedly took out the check to prove the authenticity of the investment. But Lulu asked the key question. Since that mine is full of magic, wouldn't mining it lead to a huge fortune? Why does Uncle still need to accept investments from others? Talenka wanted to brush it off by saying mining requires a lot of funds. But Lulu wouldn't let him get away with it. Isn't it enough that you embezzled my father's money for mining? In an instant, everyone couldn't help but chuckle. They think that applying for mining rights and extraction requires huge amounts of funding. That's why they need to raise capital. However, Lulu confidently puts her hands on her hips. Hee, I know. But my dad can cover all the expenses. Then why does he only invest a little bit of money with Uncle? Of course, he should invest himself and reap all the profits. Why did Uncle recruit so many people and only earn a little money? Those present were starting to waver. But Lulu suddenly produced a checkbook from somewhere. Tarlenka instantly rushed forward to snatch it, but the count beside her snatched it first. Clearly, in the past year, the Duke of Paladin had given him more than enough. Lulu reminded everyone that during this spring and summer, the guest count at the uncle's residence was especially high. Now everyone knows. Talenka had actually secretly mined the mountain before. They found no magic inside. To cover the losses, they sought investments. When the time comes, they will push all the blame onto the Paladin family. At this point, the doubts are resolved. Lulu happily reaches out her hand to him, saying, please help me. You will pay me back, right? Benes took my dad's money. Many friends have asked Lulu where to watch, or just look for this black square. Click the magnifying glass and enter, I'm the group pet, to watch. Hurry and grab the fresh blood. 4-year-old girl unlocks mind reading skills, breaks through the defenses of her wicked uncle, not only regains ownership and mining rights to the mine, but also acquires a villa at the resort and a horse ranch. Mission successfully completed. Earn 3,000 gold coins in lottery tickets. The 3 nobles are in awe of your actions today. Influence within the family has greatly increased. Lulu was immersed in the joy of the hints. In the next moment, the penalty state took effect again. Just then, 3 nobles appeared. Lulu cheerfully introduced herself. My name is Lyadisha. It was a name given to me by my mom. I'm already 4 years old this year. Everyone was quite amazed. His dignified behavior was completely unlike that of a 4-year-old child. There's still one mystery unsolved. Why did the Duke of Paladin give money to the Marquis of Tarenka? Lulu happily raised her hand, saying she knew. Then she whispered in the Duke of Devitran's ear, because Papa loves me very much. And I love Papa most in this world. Her adorable appearance instantly captured the hearts of the grandfather generation nobles. They were all enjoying themselves, until Jiacheng reminded them it was getting late, and the Duke would be worried if they didn't return. Only then did he wave goodbye. After Lulu left, Marquis Solroad felt quite puzzled. It seemed he had seen Lulu before at the Taranka estate, but he didn't think much of it. After all, the two were worlds apart. Meanwhile, the Count seemed to have his own thoughts. Children's recovery ability is truly remarkable. It feels as if he has infinite possibilities. I look forward to seeing what he will grow into in the future. Soon, the carriage arrived at the Duke's residence. Jia Chen was emotionally crying in front of Lulu. You truly are the bloodline of Peritone. You have such outstanding eloquence. It's astonishing how convincing you are without any magical aura. Seeing this, Lulu hurriedly wiped away his tears. But they happened to be caught by the daughter-loving Duke. You have quite a good relationship with my daughter, don't you? It's like a loving family. Jia Chen's soul is about to fly away. Meanwhile, Lulu, in a state of punishment, is confused. She keeps tugging at his hand. Is this okay? I'm a good child who keeps my promises. Now the Duke's anger burned even brighter. What agreement? I'm truly curious. After saying that, he dragged the person away. At that moment, the butler, with a group of maids, came out to greet them. They showered Lulu with warm greetings. Lulu laughed sincerely. Now he also had a home. The Duke, feared by everyone, actually considers his daughter to be a dangerous presence. Clearly without any magic aura, she can control the bodies of others. Just like right now. He really wants to stroke his daughter's soft hair. The adjutant nearby noticed the Duke's serious expression, and hurriedly asked what was happening. I find it strange. My youngest daughter seems to be able to control others, because she's the only one in the family without a magical contract. So I'm not sure what this ability is. The Duke earnestly explained his reaction while under control. The aide immediately recognized the symptoms, commonly known as daughter crazy. But being highly perceptive, he didn't expose him. Instead, he agreed that it was indeed serious. Suddenly, the Duke asked Lulu very seriously, Are you sure you truly understand what I said? Lulu confidently replied with just a smile. It made the Duke's heart pound against his ribs. It was even heart-shaped. It truly had strong destructive power. So let me confirm this incredibly important matter. What should I do if someone touches my head? No, no. What if someone pokes my cheek? No, no. What if someone invites me to eat snacks? Dirty, dirty, dirty. What if someone kisses my face? Hit them, hit them. What if someone wants to pick you up? A human trafficker. The aide beside them was so shocked by their master that they couldn't speak. Severely a daughter slave. Confirmed. However, just then, the Duke suddenly wanted to touch his daughter, but Lulu rejected him 3 times. No, I don't want that. How could the trafficker Duke have thought that he would be attacked indiscriminately? He trembled all over, feeling uncomfortable. In the next second, Lulu delivered a fatal blow. She knocked his hand away directly. Dirty hands, I'll hit you. I'll hit you good. The heart that was in suspense finally stopped. Lulu didn't notice her father's abnormality. He even eagerly asked himself if he was doing well. So this is what it feels like to be heartbroken. That night, the Duke stormed into the Marquis of Talanka's residence with a group of guards and went on a killing spree. The man foolishly demanded that he leave immediately, or he would report him to the Emperor. However, in his fury, the Duke had no intention of holding back. It looked like someone's head was about to roll. Suddenly, Talanka shouted, "Brother-in-law, why are you doing this? I admit that mistreating the palace maid Peradon was my fault. But she's not your biological child. She was born from an affair between my sister and another man." As soon as he finished speaking, the Marquis's residence was turned upside down. The Duke's demonic aura erupted. He demanded, "You say my daughter. What man dares to slander her in front of a daughter-obsessed Duke?" He claimed his niece was a child born from his sister's infidelity. The Duke flew into a rage. He immediately stabbed his brother-in-law. Surprisingly, he didn't die. Just when Talanka was overjoyed because of this, the Duke took away the signet ring that represented Talanka's status as head of the family. "The former Marquis Talanka asked me to convey to you that someone like you is unworthy of even the title of Marquis. You don't even deserve the surname Talanka. This is undoubtedly worse than killing him. The Duke wants him to live out the rest of his life with this pain." The next day, the news that Talanka had been stripped of his title and reduced to commoner reached Lulu's ears. It turned out that Talanka was only a temporary acting head of the family at first. He had no access to many properties and secrets. Therefore, in order to gain recognition, he began to recklessly pursue ventures. But he was found to be involved in fraud. As a result, he lost everything. Now even his wife is in the middle of a divorce lawsuit with him. Lulu asked what would happen to Clara. It turns out the Marchioness wanted to take her daughter away, but Clara cried and refused to go. She thought that would mean being demoted from the Marquis family to the Viscount family. "That girl is in the Duke's family, and I have to go to the Viscount's family. I disagree. I want to find the former Marquis." After saying all this, Nancy was called over to pack her bags. Looking at the group, it seemed like they were going to move the entire residence. About a week later, after the Duke attended the victory ceremony, they would leave the capital and head to the Duke of Paladin's territory. Lulu didn't expect that her father was actually the Northern Grand Duke, the established archetype in Luo Huan's novels. Though incredibly cold, he's incredibly gentle towards his daughter. It's simply amazing. Just then, a message popped up. Updating ability value information window. Awarding additional reward, lucky potion. The related task has arrived. I hope you can work hard to make money and become wealthy in the future. Lulu didn't want to pay attention to herself at all. Having so much money, why still work? However, she was shocked when she saw the task. Not only was there no failure penalty, but also a reward of 10,000 gold coins. How could such a good opportunity be missed? She immediately took on the task. There are currently 2 ongoing tasks. Lulu then realized she hadn't carefully reviewed the questions. This led to the task not being completed. She felt a deep sense of regret. Lulu's muttering puzzled the maid. To avoid being exposed, she hurriedly pretended to be talking to a little hamster. This will make the maids fall head over heels. "Our young miss is so adorable. It's completely different from the feeling when taking care of the young masters." Lulu, upon hearing this, immediately became interested. Her brothers must be as handsome as their father. So she eagerly asked, "What are my brothers like?" However, what greeted her was an indescribable expression from the maids. What a bad feeling. Many little friends have asked where Lulu can be watched. Or look for this little black square. Click the magnifying glass, enter, I'm the, and click to watch. Hurry up and watch it first. A girl who has traveled to a novel world for 4 years finally meets the rumored handsome brother. Today is the day the Duke returns to the city. The butler had the manor decorated in its original style early on. Only this dark, solemn, and terrifying atmosphere is fitting for the Duke. An attendant beside him reminded him. Such an environment might frighten the young lady. After all, rumor has it that the Duke returned for her. However, the butler didn't believe such rumors at all. Preparing for his grace's return brooks no negligence. Meanwhile, Lulu is on a carriage returning to the city. Dressed in a plush white bear costume, she is sweating profusely. The Duke is quite puzzled. Why not take it off in this heat? But Lulu believes it's the thoughtful gesture of the maids. Even though it's hot, it makes her very happy. The Duke seriously considers this for a moment. This is probably why, although troublesome and useless, it's the feeling that makes one most want to tacitly consent. Lulu knew her father was referring to the time she blew on his wound. Pouting unhappily, she explained that she hadn't been able to blow on his wound when he was injured. Even though it's too late now, I still wanted to do something to make amends. But you said it was troublesome. Suddenly, the Duke reached out and pinched her little face. With a face full of affection and seriousness, he said to Lulu, "Thank you, that was quick." The carriage arrived at the northern residence. Everyone's reaction to Lulu was one of disbelief. Where did the fierceness of the Duke's family go? Suddenly, Lulu sneezed due to the cold weather. The Duke immediately asked with a dark face if she was cold. This made the butler exclaim that it was bad. "Master, this is going to make the young lady feel cold forever." However, Lulu's maids cried out in alarm, reporting an emergency. The young lady sneezed. "Quickly take the precious young lady inside." The northern attendants thought they were insane. Isn't this just sending them to their deaths? However, even more shocking was, The Duke directly scooped Lulu up and carried her indoors. Who would believe this was the cold-blooded, bloodthirsty Duke just a short while ago? Just then, two brothers appeared on the stairs. Their stunning looks made Lulu turn the tide and give this world a perfect score. In order to make a good impression, he introduced himself with a beaming smile. I initially thought the third brother, Salwin, was a warm-hearted brother who dotes on his sister. I didn't expect the boy to change his expression so quickly and mock me, calling me that weakling. Since I've already received it, then I'll take my leave. Lulu had already visualized it on the spot. But third brother turned his head and warned her that being too weak makes it easy to die. Lulu was so scared she couldn't speak. Second brother, Aries, however, approached proactively and offered his concern. The imperial capital is much warmer than here. You must be so cold. My sister can't be frozen, after all. Lulu instantly regarded her second brother as her light. She even thanked that demon in her heart. However, things were not that simple. Her brother actually laid hands on his adorable sister. Just now, Lulu finally arrived at her father's northern residence. The cold weather is unbearable. But it's also the perfect time for an onsen. This is something his past self wouldn't have dared to dream of. After warming up my body, changing into comfortable clothes, it's amazing. It's time to win over my brothers. Lulu happily greeted the two of them. Aries smiled and called him over. The girl happily ran over with her little short legs. Then she gently jumped into her seat. However, Sango Sallyone looked quite unhappy. Wasn't it enough to just say hello? Why arrange such occasions to get closer? Lulu was displeased upon hearing this. Fortunately, Aries shifted the attention. I was surprised when I first saw you. I didn't expect to have such an adorable little sister. Let's get along well from now on. From this moment on, Lulu will treat her second brother as an angel. The two of them laughed and chatted happily together. However, Aries, who was nearby, looked on disdainfully. Did you eat something wrong? What's so good about this fragile girl? He's really cute. It seems your eyes are having problems. Lulu was even more convinced at this moment that her second brother was an angel. If I had such a disrespectful younger brother, I would definitely beat him up. Having said that, the third brother's looks are truly amazing. It made Lulu unconsciously smile foolishly at him. What kind of expression is this? It's quite frustrating. Lulu explained that being attracted to good-looking things is uncontrollable. It's human instinct. Ergo beside her instantly felt disappointed. So you like that type like Sallyone? Now Lulu panicked. How can the angel show such a sad expression? So he hurriedly argued loudly that Aries' brother is the most handsome. Much better than Sangu. Sallyone, caught in the crossfire, is unhappy. The demonic contract is about to go berserk. However, the system pops up again to teach this ignorant person a lesson. Let your prestige shake the world. Lulu thinks it's okay to have a bad relationship with a few individuals in her family, but the system won't let her have her way. Rejecting the mission means exiting life. If that's the case, no matter what, I have to win him over. The next second, Sallyone's dark energy flew towards Lulu. But at the last moment, it was caught by Aries with one hand. The boy was different from usual. He said seriously, don't bully your sister like this. In order to survive, the girl pretended to be a white lotus from a TV drama. Just now, Big Brother 3 attacked Lulu, but Big Brother 2 stopped him. Unexpectedly, this excited Sallyone. She found dealing with her more interesting. Lulu was relieved in her heart that the angel hadn't been angered. But the next second, Aries was about to teach his younger brother about respecting seniority. Their demonic energy caused the teacups to tremble. The expression on his face became very excited. When a city gate catches fire, the fish and the moat suffer. The life of Luo Huan, which had just begun with great difficulty, can't just end like this. So he gritted his teeth and stomped his foot, as if he had made a certain determination. I'm sorry, it's all because Lulu is too cute. Please don't fight over Lulu. This is how it goes. The two of them instantly cooled down. They just stared blankly at the girl. Both of you like Lulu. So Lulu will appropriately restrain her cuteness in the future. It's really hurting the enemy by 800, and self-inflicting 1000. The two of them instantly lost their temper. This crisis has come to an end. Lulu knew that even though she had muddled through the recent predicament, it couldn't just end like this. After all, it was a matter of life and death for her. However, having read countless fantasy novels, she felt confident about resolving this issue. Unfortunately, she lacked the ability to summon the protagonist, which was a real shame. Otherwise, taking down Sallyone would be a piece of cake. Currently, I can only use the remaining mind-reading ability and Luo Huan knowledge. Countless novel heroines. I will certainly follow everyone's teachings. Starting the next day, Lulu followed Sallyone around like a shadow. This annoyed the boy greatly. Why are you always following me? She was also wearing a pair of really noisy shoes. Lulu pretended to be very shy. She expressed that she wanted to play with him. And these shoes were chosen by my dad for me to wear. Now, the third son, who absolutely obeyed his father's orders, had nothing to say. But he turned around and said, Aries, that guy isn't here. No one can protect you. You said you wanted to play with me. How about we see if your frail body can withstand my magic? Lulu used her mind-reading ability to know that the boy was feeling great right now. She was very curious about how he would react. However, Lulu was not scared at all. In fact, she happily said that Sally was just playing with him. This made the boy very annoyed, but Lulu pretended not to understand. I know you want to play hide and seek with me. Now it's your turn to catch me. After saying that, Lulu ran behind her, confidently thinking that Sallyone wanted to tease her. She was still too naive. However, in the next second, she slyly almost fell down the stairs. She reassured herself that at times like this, her brother would always come to the rescue. But Sallyone stood still, not moving at all. At the critical moment, a hand suddenly caught her. The girl slipped and was about to roll down the stairs and fall. The originally motionless third brother, who was of poor quality, suddenly appeared and saved her. Lulu happily thought she had won her over. But when she looked up, she found an extremely disgusted expression. Sallyone didn't understand why she saved her. At this moment, I feel really upset. Lulu mustered up the courage to ask Sally if one was bothering her. As expected, she received a positive answer. However, Lulu awkwardly said that she wanted to get along well. This left the boy, who usually disliked being close to others, at a loss. Just then, the Duke suddenly appeared. Lulu ran off with her little short legs. She jumped right into her father's arms. Have you finished your business? Not yet. So you can't have dinner with me? The Duke playfully poked his daughter's cheek. He gently said, "There's still time to have dinner with Lulu. There is still time for dinner." Sally Wen simply couldn't believe it. No matter how many times she saw this scene, she couldn't get used to it. Suddenly, the Duke asked if the two of them had been together. He asked if they had been bullied. Sally Wen panicked. She had indeed used dark magic to scare them several times. It was best to confess. But just as she was about to speak, Lulu beat her to it, denying it. "Sally Wen has been playing with me. That's interesting." The boy was stunned. He didn't know why he said that. A strange feeling arose in his heart. But at this moment, the old father asked with a hurt expression, "Is it more interesting to be with him than with your dad?" Both of them looked helpless. Only the Duke was eagerly awaiting an answer. From that day on, Sally has disappeared without a trace. The mansion is just too big. Lulu searched everywhere but couldn't find her. She has exhausted all her mind-reading abilities. This made her so anxious that she yelled out, which really worries me. Aries happened to see this scene, although your sighing is quite cute. I can't help but feel heartbroken when I think of my sister being troubled. So, can you tell me what's bothering you? Lulu pouted unhappily. Actually, Sally Wen keeps avoiding me. I want to become closer to her, but she always says I'm annoying. I hate it. Aries glanced at the pillar at this time, pretending to be wronged and jealous. It seems Lulu likes Sally Wen more. This left Lulu utterly shocked. She hurriedly explained that Brother Aries was the most important. Sally Wen couldn't even compare to him. "You are simply a blessing in my life." Lulu wanted to say more. Aries suddenly kissed her on the cheek. He even smiled and said it was his honor. Goodness, who can withstand this? My brother's radiant smile resembled an angel's. Who would have thought he was a wolf in sheep's clothing? He deliberately provoked his brother and kissed his sister in front of him. His brother was so angry he crushed a pillar. He also stopped Lulu from investigating further. Before leaving, he even showed a triumphant smile and a complex expression. After returning, Lulu learned from the maids. Sally Wen never liked being in crowded places. I used to see her often. That proved she wasn't deliberately avoiding me. But now I can never find her. It means she really doesn't want to see me lately. Lulu was instantly struck by lightning. Did my actions backfire? He tried to think from Sally Wen's perspective. Perhaps it's because I lack demonic energy that I'm disliked. Therefore, Lulu asked her elder sisters about demonic energy. Specifically what it is. It is understood that demonic energy is a power inherited through generations only by the Paratone family. Unlike a mage's magic or a knight's spiritual energy, it's a very unique power. But it's also a power that people greatly fear. Having read countless fantasy novels, Lulu instantly realized that the magical energy might be the power of demons. Such words frightened the maids quite a bit. They hurried to explain, though there are indeed such rumors. After all, magical energy is an overwhelmingly powerful force. Just a glance is enough to instill fear. However, Lulu did not think so, because she's seen the magic contract many times. Before, she didn't think black was pretty. But later, she found it beautiful enough to take one's breath away. Magic is night. It's a night that allows one to close their eyes and rest. A night warmer than anything else. These words moved not only the maidservant, but even her brother outside the window. You heard what he said, didn't you? He even broke a pillar last time. Can't you try to control your temper? Sally Wen, up in the tree, looked thoughtful. She remembered Lulu saying to her father that she found him interesting. Then, she said he was no match for Aries. She was conflicted and angry. So before leaving, she said, I don't believe that kind of liar. The next day was Lulu's first enhancement meeting after returning to the estate. They were all shocked about Lulu reclaiming the mine. And the Earl of Deer, who witnessed it firsthand, was excessively proud. He even declared himself a member of the Lulu Supporters Club afterwards. Everyone's compliments made Lulu a bit shy, but he didn't forget the task he was undertaking. So he asked his father if he could manage the mine that was reclaimed from his uncle. Everyone was stunned, hastily stating that Lulu is still young, and has not received any financial education, fearing that she will soon lose all this money. However, the Duke declares that it doesn't matter if she loses it all. I have plenty of money. Who wouldn't love such an extravagant and doting father? A 4-year-old child is actually going to manage a mine alone. This was undoubtedly met with opposition from the vassals. But the Duke agreed without a second thought. He believed it didn't matter even if he lost everything. My daughter wants to play with her own things. What does it matter? I don't want to hear your nonsense anymore. Everyone was quite surprised. Only Viscount Deer was smiling like a madman. After the meeting, he took the Black Forest cherry cake to give to Lulu. On the way, he bumped into the butler, Aaron. He excitedly introduced his gift to the butler. Curious about Lulu's reaction this time. Would she be happy, or would she show that "you're here again" expression? Just thinking about it was exciting. I have to say, she's clearly gone mad. Meanwhile, Sally Wen was at the training ground, and discovered that Lulu had recently made her extremely violent. Even her teacher noticed something was wrong with her. Is this because of the young lady? I only mentioned it briefly. Sally Wen's expression instantly became cold and terrifying. Even the teacher couldn't help but tremble. Sally Wen believed that people naturally fear demonic energy. This has been his feeling all along. But Lulu said that demonic energy is the night. A warm night that allows people to close their eyes and rest. It's simply absurd. It's just a carefully crafted lie to cling to the strong. He was utterly convinced of his deduction. But deep down, he was quite worried. He searched everywhere for Lulu. Perhaps she couldn't find a suitable time to be with Aries, whom she liked. Why had the annoying footsteps he heard every day disappeared? Sally Wen suddenly became uneasy, until he saw one of Lulu's shoes in the courtyard. He immediately understood why Lulu was kidnapped. This is indeed the fate of the weak. Fragile people will only end up like this. This is what he has believed for many years. But a voice kept ringing in his heart. Go find him. Find him. I must find him. Sally Wen almost turned the entire mansion upside down. Finally, they found a few figures at the edge of the forest near the mansion. Sally was extremely angry at that moment. In an instant, the two turned into a pool of blood. Only Lulu, covered in blood and trembling, looked at her sister with a face full of terror. Sally's eyes turned red on the spot. It turned out that saying she wasn't scared was a lie. The boy tore apart the two who kidnapped his sister on the spot. Only the sister was left shivering in a pool of blood. She sadly believed that Lulu had grown fearful of her. She became even more convinced that the previous affection and understanding were all an act. But just then, a pair of bloodied little hands suddenly appeared. The girl, with tears in her eyes, smiled in gratitude. Her expression became even more sinister. I think Lulu is just full of lies in this situation. A surge of killing intent suddenly arose in his heart. Aren't you very scared? Lulu instinctively froze for a moment. This made him even more certain that Lulu was a liar. But unexpectedly, the girl who had just pretended to be strong suddenly burst into tears. That's right, I was indeed very scared just now. You bad guy. Why are you so late? Why? Lulu kept tapping Sally again and again. The boy was stunned on the spot. What is going on? Why does it seem like she relies on him so much? It seems like it's a matter of course for him to come to the rescue. Sally went unconsciously squatted down. Lulu completely broke down. She hugged her brother and wept. A wave of hot breath suddenly hit Sally. She couldn't help but feel that if Lulu kept crying like this, she would melt away like cotton candy. The news quickly spread throughout the mansion, leaving everyone shocked. It also ignited the Duke's fury. Even though everyone was at their post, this still happened. Ares even came forward to condemn those who dared to threaten my sister. How will you bear this guilt? The retainers know they are culpable, and immediately began investigating. The kidnappers are members of the Dark Guild. It seems they acted on someone's orders. But now all the people are dead. It will take some time to investigate the true culprit behind it all. Just then, Lulu suddenly appeared. She asked them why they didn't ask themselves. However, the Duke didn't want his daughter to remember the bad things. But Lulu said that she was a member of Peloton, and should contribute. And I know who the culprit is. It turns out Lulu received a new mission. That's why she hurried over here. Someone had previously asked me to go to the training ground where Sally is. That person is from the Deer tribe. She is the girl's biggest fan. Today, she was identified as the kidnapper of the girl. At first, everyone found it hard to believe. Then, I began to doubt. The Viscount himself became anxious to explain how much he loved his niece. He insisted he couldn't have done such a thing. However, Lulu coldly said, "Stop playing the emotional card. Uncle, the truth of this matter can be easily verified." Lulu then learned from the adjutant that Sally was indeed at the training ground that afternoon, but she left in less than 10 minutes. This means that Lulu finished her snack when Sally had already left. If Lulu had stayed in the main city like usual, she would definitely have run into her. But at the recommendation of Viscount Deer, Lulu went to the terrace in the east courtyard. This means that, unless Sally deliberately took a detour, it would have been impossible for them to meet. In other words, that was the best place to turn right. The Viscount was speechless. He just kept emphasizing that he was a loyal subject. But then Lulu, unexpectedly, said, "I know. Tell me now. Who is the culprit who tried to abduct me?" Everyone, including the Viscount, was completely baffled. Lulu continued, "Uncle, think carefully. You must know who the culprit is." Dill instantly recalled that before he went to find Lulu, he had encountered a man who told him that the terrace in the east courtyard was under a warming spell, and Lulu's favorite flowers. It's a perfect place to enjoy a delicious afternoon tea. That person is the butler, Alron. The Duke, upon hearing, angrily ordered that the butler be brought before him, but Ares smiled and praised Lulu's intelligence, as if he had known the culprit's identity all along. Just then, the butler was brought in. He was still arguing that he merely recommended a place for afternoon tea. However, the soldiers found a kidnapping contract in his room, and communications devices of unknown origin. Even so, the butler still refused to admit it. The Duke ordered him to be imprisoned in the Ice Crystal Tower. He will interrogate him personally. Everyone was shocked by Lulu's intelligence, and this was especially true for Duke Dill. He burst into tears on the spot. He even treated Lulu like a saint. He thanked Lulu for her deep trust. He was a completely fervent fan. Seeing this, the Duke ordered his men to drag him away. Then, with a dark face, he said, "Now that the culprit has been caught, then use your lives to bear the responsibility of your failure to protect her." The 4-year-old daughter of a Duke was kidnapped from her own home. This enraged the Duke, a devoted father. He demanded that his retainers commit suicide to atone. Everyone trembled in fear. Lulu, however, didn't want to implicate others. She hurriedly explained that she had wandered off, causing the incident. But the Duke didn't accept. After all, the daughter is only moving around the house. "I hired them to ensure your safety." "You're so smart. You should be able to understand what I mean." Lulu knows that in this situation, she can only use that trick. So, with tearful eyes, she said, "Because Lulu didn't stay obediently in her room. That's why you want to scold sister and the uncles. In that case, Lulu might as well stay in her room for the rest of her life. After all, this is all Lulu's fault." However, things did not develop as he imagined. Brother Ares actually said this idea is not bad. "My dear sister, I will send the sky, flowers, and jewels to your room." Lulu's heart has already issued a sharp cry for help, but on the surface, she can only continue to pretend. Lulu might soon die from lack of exercise. It seems she can only bid farewell to her father and brothers. As soon as these words, both of them were stunned. They immediately changed their minds and announced to postpone the decision. Everyone couldn't believe it. The usually headstrong Duke actually revoked the punishment due to the lady's few words. So everyone silently cheered and expressed their gratitude. Lines of system messages popped up. Revenge of the Magpie. Mission complete. Reward of 5,000 gold coins. Lottery ticket. Family influence greatly increased. Distributing 8,000 gold coins. Additionally, surprise rewards can yield up to 20,000 gold coins. A string of rewards left Lulu speechless. She hurried back to her room to check her status window. She found that the Sally quest was still incomplete, meaning the boys still hadn't accepted her as family. Lulu felt a little wronged. but she was still grateful that he'd saved her. To gain the power to conquer Sally 1, she decided to draw some gold coins first. So, she happily summoned the big spinning wheel. However, she found that the so-called 20,000 gold coins only occupied a pitifully thin line, and the rest were either "thank you for participating" or "just picking up gold coin." Isn't this just a total scam? So, Lulu immediately took out a luck potion, and drank it without hesitation. Unexpectedly, it still tasted like mint chocolate. It's simply delightful. Suddenly, a surge of power erupted. Lulu opened all the lottery tickets in one breath. After a burst of bright light, the girl was completely stunned. The unlucky girl drank the lucky potion. In an instant, she transformed into a lucky one. She instantly gained 26,000 gold coins. It's like an old lady getting into a bridal sedan chair for the first time. Taking advantage of this momentum, Lulu immediately summoned. The novel, short-lived evil woman doesn't need love. As long as she gains the female lead's abilities, she can confirm Sally1's affection level. At the same time, Sally1, lying in bed, suddenly spoke weakly. "So, you're going to kill me now?" "The source is Aries." The dark-hearted boy smiled slightly. "How could I? Even if I killed you this way, it wouldn't prove my ability. I didn't expect you to be so naive. You should be glad the demonic energy didn't run wild. Otherwise, you would have lost your body long ago." It turns out that Sullivan back then, to find Lulu quickly, spread the demonic energy throughout the Duke's mansion. This means he staked his own life on it. Sullivan knew he couldn't riot. Otherwise, not only himself, but also Lulu would lose her life. "I heard Lulu came to see you several times. You haven't seen him at all. That little guy is really sad. It's really amazing. I can't believe you opened your heart to him." Sally1 is the toughest one to admit it. Aries didn't say much more. He just covered his eyes. Then he began to replenish his magical energy. "Why are you helping me?" "Because you're my lovely younger brother. As your older brother, I should help you." How can words like that make Sally1 happy? But Aries turned to leave. Before leaving, he also advised Sally1 not to, because he didn't want Lulu to see her vulnerable side. She locked herself in the room. "Lulu misses you very much." Sally1 was a little annoyed by what he said, but it was also thanks to him that her ravaged body fully recovered. Thinking of what Aries just said, he went barefoot to the window. Because he knew the cotton ball would be very noticeable wherever it was. Sally1 barely smiles. She decides to go see Lulu. She tells her that it's not so easy to meet her. Lulu is holding freshly picked flowers. She runs towards Sally1 with a smile. This surprises the boy a bit. Even though he has seen such scenes before, he is still not afraid of him. After all, everyone trembled with fear just seeing the black demonic energy. They were terrified. Just thinking that Lulu might also become like that. He felt terrible. He disliked this thought of his very much. So he suddenly unleashed demonic energy towards Lulu. Self-deceptively. Little Cotton Ball thought it had nothing to do with him. Even if he vomited blood immediately, it wouldn't concern him. However, the next second, Lulu suddenly coughed violently. Blood instantly stained the bouquet red. The boy deliberately used demonic energy to test his sister, wanting to prove that he couldn't be affected by her. But the younger sister suddenly vomited blood, collapsing to the ground. Everyone present was stunned. The most panicked, however, was the person involved. Actually, this was just a result of Lulu's newly acquired ability. The more she is loved by those around her, the more she coughs up blood. And this blood expels the bad things. It is a sign that the body is continuously improving. So encountering Sally1's magical energy, coughing up blood is actually a good thing. This is evidence of her being loved. However, the unaware Sally1 became completely flustered. In her arms, Lulu struggled to tell her that it was okay. But before she could finish her words, she fell into a deep sleep. She looked as peaceful as if she were dead. This scared Sally to death. She kept shaking a little body, begging him not to die. After the incident, the Duke came to his daughter's side, and immediately called for a doctor. The diagnosis showed he was very healthy. The coughing up blood is just to expel the impure chi. You never give me a moment's peace. The abduction before, and now, this scientific experiment. The Duke couldn't help but recall their first meeting. He was so frail and shivering. I thought that just feeding him well would solve everything, but he insisted on staying by my side. Such high demands and difficult births. The Duke says this outwardly, but inside he feels quite sweet. Just calling his daughter's name is like eating dessert. He would willingly be at his daughter's mercy for a lifetime. Meanwhile, Salvin is guarding the door. As soon as he saw his father come out, he immediately stood up to ask about the situation. It was obvious that he had just been crying. "It's all my fault. It's because I always use dark energy on him." The boy was like a lost child, helpless and confused. This was the first time he had shown such an expression. "Do you remember why you sent Lulu to another place before?" "I remember it was to protect her from being harmed by dark energy. The difference now is that I am in this city. The dark energy cannot harm her in the slightest." That said, Sally still feels very guilty. Even though she has long accepted her in her heart, she repeatedly envelopes her with dark energy on purpose, to test whether his words are true or not. Because he was afraid of being hurt, he ended up hurting the young Lulu. How despicable. The Duke saw the conflict in his son's heart, so he let him take responsibility for Lulu's care. Sally first woke up in surprise. Then she denied herself. She was afraid of causing Lulu secondary harm. What an arrogant little brat. No matter how much magic energy you use, you won't be able to hurt him. Upon hearing this, Sally1 finally smiled with joy. After preparing herself mentally, she pushed open the door. But when she saw the little thing on the bed, she was instantly so shocked that she couldn't speak. The boy accidentally caused his sister to vomit blood and faint. Only then did he realize how important his sister was to him. He launched into self-reproach over the unconscious girl. "I'm wrong. I'll never bully you again. Wake up. I want to get along with you well, too." Just then, system prompts kept ringing. Lulu didn't take it seriously. She just thought it was noisy. But when it was mentioned that visceral fat was decreasing, the beauty-loving girl instantly perked up. And when she opened her eyes, she saw Sally1 at the bedside, exhausted with panda eyes. "Have you been taking care of me all this time?" The boy disdainfully explained. "It's all your fault for being so weak." Lulu felt a tingling sensation. "I thought Sally1 was a bad person before, but actually, she's just a tough-talking softie. I've been alone for a long time, so I really crave companionship. Because companionship and support can give me a happy and warm heart. So, Sally1, I need you. Would you like to be my brother?" The boy looked somewhat stunned. He has experienced the feeling of loss, and he no longer acts tough. "You are a fragile child, so from now on, I will protect you well, because I am your brother." As their hands came together, mission accomplished. The sound system releases 3,000 gold coins. Lulu is very surprised. Sally finally admits that he is a part of the family. Seeing the boy's dark circles about to drop to the ground, Lulu invites him to sleep together. The boy instantly gets defensive. Why would I sleep with you? The brother is supposed to lull his sister to sleep. It's the boy's first time being a big brother. He believed it right away. He obediently lay down. He followed Lulu's instructions. Sally Winnie, pat my head. The boy hesitated for a moment but complied. Lulu starts to push her luck. Then you do a backflip first. Do a backflip and then clap 3 times in the air. It's clear the boy isn't falling for it. Good night, Sally 1. The two siblings smile at each other and fall asleep. Suddenly, the sleeping Lulu finds herself in an unfamiliar place. The boy who claims to be an angel appears again. Lulu angrily pulled the person down quickly. You showed up just in time. You big liar. You've made me suffer so much. The boy looked aggrieved. Haven't I kept my promise? I let you be born into a rich family, with a handsome brother and father. I even gave you my abilities. Lulu was stunned for a second. Then she immediately saw through his scheme. The angel hurriedly fled. He said he would only give a score of 10 when he saw a handsome face. At other times, it's a score of 0. Lulu disdainfully retorted that being handsome is a privilege. If you have a problem with that, just a bit more handsome. Angels are murmuring all around. Wait until I find my true self. You will definitely. I haven't finished speaking yet. The dream is already starting to collapse. Oh no, I haven't even started saying the important things and there's no time left. I believe you can do it. My Lulu didn't have time to react, and suddenly woke up from her dream. The bed was covered in flowers. What is going on? After reconciling with her brother, the girl fell asleep. When she woke up, she found the bed was filled with flowers. She thought she was dreaming. Just then, the maid came in. These were sent by brother Sal Ivan. The girl was only moved for a second. She began to doubt if she was dreaming. After all, it was hard for Sal Ivan to do something like this. The maid speculated back and forth. These flowers are the young master's way of keeping you company. If we hadn't come in, he would have definitely waited until you woke up to leave. Looking at the flowers in her hand, Lulu felt warm inside. Meanwhile, in a certain building in the Duke's mansion, a group of people were holding a secret meeting, marveling at the recent earth-shattering changes in the Duke's mansion and the Duke himself. Especially the Duke. Especially the Duke. It turns out he can even use such vague vocabulary. The key point is that he is extremely fond of the little princess. Some people speculate that it might be because at just 4 years old, he can claim inheritance from the Marquis of Talanka, and he hasn't even received any education on inheritance yet. I heard that someone has already applied to assist him. This person is likely Lord Durs, although it seems his mental state is a bit abnormal, but it cannot be denied that he is indeed a genius. It was thought that palace maids are naturally devoid of magical energy, and would not pose a threat to the succession. But now it seems that's not the case. In order to reduce uncertainties, it appears necessary to eliminate potential threats in their infancy. What no one expected was, the one hosting this meeting is actually Aries. At this moment, an unsuspecting Lulu is busy upgrading her abilities. Surprisingly, the options available have increased to 2. Now, she can check the novels she has purchased at any time. This means she can use her previous abilities without spending money. Just as she was overjoyed about this, a message suddenly changed her expression. Please be prepared to face the moment when the world is engulfed by darkness. Lulu's keen sense from reading countless novels led him to suspect there would be a risk of destruction here. The next moment, a message hit him hard. Your family and the ones you love will fall in the cold, biting wind. Lulu could hardly imagine such a scene. To protect these important people, he decided to enhance his abilities. When that day comes, he possesses a powerful strength capable of defying fate. So he raised his hands high. He accepted all the tasks. Now, even if he refuses a difficult task, there will be no punishment. He still chooses to face the challenges. Suddenly, a new task appeared. It turned out to be simple interactions. Lulu couldn't help but feel a bit moved. I decided that next time I see the demon, I'll reluctantly invite him to a kiss on the cheek. Soon, the Duke's large regular meeting was held as scheduled. The Duke made a dazzling entrance, holding the young Lulu. Everyone immediately started whispering, but they dared not say anything. Only one retainer presumptuously jumped out, pointing out that Lulu didn't even have a position, so there's no qualification to participate. Upon hearing this, the Duke cried on the spot. Staring at the man coldly, he said, You have a foul smell in your mouth. Haven't you brushed your teeth? The usually fierce Duke, in order to support his daughter, actually scolded his vassals in the meeting for not brushing their teeth. As soon as those 3 words, the vassals were instantly petrified. Sally One laughed until she trembled. Winchester muttered, How can you not brush your teeth properly? The man blushed with shame. Those present whispered amongst themselves. Young Master Sally One usually doesn't attend the reading meetings. He's surprisingly here today. It seems there will be a change within the Duke's household. Soon, the meeting officially began. The Duke announced his intention to establish a support team for his daughter. This undoubtedly met with opposition from others. After all, Lulu is still young, and she doesn't have a magic contract. She's an ordinary child. Deal, a member of the fan club, immediately objected. Miss is so excellent. To say she's ordinary is preposterous. Lulu, standing nearby, found it very strange. Why were the elders all silent? Logically, they should have been the first to oppose it. Could this be a test? To see if he's qualified to have his own support team. And this test must be for him to catch the traitor in the Duke's mansion. After all, if the Duke's mansion didn't have an inside man, the butler wouldn't have been able to carry out the kidnapping so easily here. Moreover, the Duke's mansion cannot have no oversight over the support payments. To prove that there is internal support from Talanka, it seems I need to complete this silent test. To have my own team. Lulu confidently speculates that such a father must believe that even without any explanation, I can still find out. This is the first time someone has placed such high hopes on me for this test. So Lulu happily kissed her father on the cheek. She also completed her task. The Duke smiled with satisfaction. Only the vassals looked shocked. Soon the meeting ended. Lulu decided to tackle a task that could be completed quickly. That was to be recognized as a member of the family by her brother Aries. He happily chased after him. He invited his brother to have afternoon tea together. But the expression on the boy's turned head instantly left him frozen in place. In the next second, Aries put on an angelic smile again. The speed was so fast that Lulu felt like she was seeing things. Aries affectionately touched the tip of his nose. He said that having afternoon tea with his sister was the most important thing. Lulu just thought she must have seen it wrong. He laughed happily. Unexpectedly, however, Sally One showed up uninvited. Lulu was afraid they would fight again, so she didn't call out to Sally One. Now things might go wrong. But 2 handsome men together is such a bonus. My sister seems very happy. Like bread, but sweeter and softer than bread. Sally couldn't stand the cheesy talk, while Lulu was lost in this happiness, unable to extricate herself. Aries hopes you won't change your current personality when you grow up. Sally couldn't help but retort that would turn you into a monster. The two elementary school kids started pecking at each other. Swiss Aries asked Lulu why she was interested in the magic stone mining business. Although smiling on the surface, it reveals a hidden intent to kill. You know those magic stones are all empty. Why do you still do this? The affection level for Brother Angel is actually negative 666. As the sister and author, Lulu is devastated. Just now, Aries asked why. Clearly knowing that those magic stones are all empty. Still so interested in the mining experiments, Lulu had no choice. She directly said it was to complete the task given by the system. So she smiled and explained, precisely because they are empty. She wondered if it could be turned from waste into treasure. If successful, it could become a money tree. Aries looked enlightened. He smiled and praised his courage. Another strong sense of incongruity surged through him. Aries was smiling gently. That's how it had been since their first meeting. He had been very considerate, even now. Why did he feel this way? He cautiously asked, Aries, you are my family, my brother, right? The boy smiled very gently, saying that all this was only natural. However, the completion prompt box was slow to appear. What was going on? Aries kept on affirming. Why did you suddenly ask me, my lovely sister? Sally, who was nearby, could no longer bear it. She stood up to expose him. Your acting skills are really getting better and better. Why not take off that disgusting mask of yours right now? You actually knew all along that someone had infiltrated the mansion that day. Bears looked quite surprised. Then he smiled and said, when did you become so smart? The system suddenly popped up a message. The Magpie Revenge task is complete. This means Aries is involved in the abduction. So Aries has been placing a circle of dark energy around the Duke's mansion all along. It's impossible not to sense someone intruding. Lulu looked at Sally when standing in front of her, quite moved. The system suddenly popped up a notification. You're not alone anymore. So Sally Wen was really protecting her, but she still wants to know the truth. So Aries, you knew I would be lured away a long time ago. The exposed boy stopped pretending. Suddenly, a sign appeared above his head, with a sensitivity of minus 666. I was hoping to play my good brother's game a little longer. Now it's all ruined. Lulu watched the minus 666 and instantly broke down. She didn't care about her identity being exposed. She continuously voiced her feelings as the author. How could you do this? I gave you my body and my heart, and I painstakingly raised you. Both of them looked confused. Lulu kept asking what 666 meant. Am I a demon? Do you really hate me that much? You clearly seduced me first. You enchanting beauty. The Angel Brothers' favorability towards him was actually negative 666. As a fan club member, Lulu kept spitting out beautifully crafted insults one after another. You enchanting beauty who could topple a kingdom, a disaster for the nation, a vixen, a rare beauty with both talent and looks. Sally couldn't take it anymore. She quickly reminded her silly sister that these words are not insults at all. Lulu, unwilling to accept it, questioned, so you hated me from the very beginning? After receiving a positive answer, I continue to ask what I did wrong. Is it because I was born without intuition? Or do you think I'm not my father's biological daughter? At this point, Lulu was so sad she was about to cry. But Ale retorted, what are you talking about? It's precisely because you fear the bloodline of Aladdin. He hates you. Because siblings are competitors. In the end, only one person can become the head of the family. Lulu was momentarily taken aback. So Aries, precisely because he recognizes him as a member of the family, hates him this much. He doesn't see him as a flawed product without magical energy like others do, but as a competitor standing on the same starting line. He quickly rushed forward and asked, what if I said I'm not interested in the position of head of the family at all? You will put away your hostility towards me, and accept me. Arel, who has been exposed, is momentarily annoyed. But Lulu's next words keep him in place. If I say this, you would definitely be unhappy, right? A rival willingly giving up would actually make you quite upset, right? Do you know why this is? Because you have already started to like me. So get ready for it. Because I'm going to accept this competition. Lulu plans to leave in a cool way. However, the next second, she uses her ability and collapses. Sally is terrified. And just before she faints, Lulu seems to have noticed that Aries' favorability is constantly changing. Anxious Sally angrily accuses Aries. Normally, Aries would definitely just laugh and make some sarcastic remark. But today he not only remained silent, but also showed an expression never seen before. Not knowing how long it had been, Lulu finally woke up from her dream. I opened my eyes and saw Aries by the bed. My favorability towards him had slightly increased. He sat up with a jolt. Aries hurriedly asked him what he was doing getting up after vomiting blood, then immediately pressed him back onto the bed. Aries, are you angry? What are you going to do? I'm going to find the traitors who abused me. Let him pay the price he deserves. This is quite similar to Aries. So he proposed a temporary alliance. Lulu's gradually changing expression made him a bit awkward, and his favorability fluctuated sharply. It felt like he was forcing himself to dislike Lulu. However, in the end, it still returned to the annoying 666. But he won't be able to hold on for a few more days. The brother's feelings for her are increasing. She would faint and spit blood. This made the oblivious ugly girl demon furious. She immediately wanted to kill all the doctors in the Duke's residence. Even though the doctors said the young lady was fine, and was actually expelling the impurities from her body, she still refused to believe it. Lulu helplessly rolled up her sleeves to start demonstrating. Slightly raised biceps. See, my hands and feet were ice cold before I fainted. But now they're quite warm. The Duke immediately took his daughter's hand to check. It was just as he said. I didn't expect that coughing up blood was actually detoxification. Don't worry me so much. Seeing his father's haggard appearance, Lulu began to recite some cheesy pickup lines. Dad, do you know what I want to drink the most right now? The old father, upon immediately wanted to buy something for his precious daughter. Unexpectedly, Lulu said she wanted to take care of him the most. Everyone was stunned. However, the next moment, they began to stir. Then the Duke took out a thick book. It even requires a magical device to open. Lulu believes this must be a family secret, but she didn't expect it to be her growth diary. It records what she has said to her. Finally, a storm has passed safely, though it was embarrassing. It saved the lives of the doctors. And through today's task, Lulu received an extra reward, an Hermes dog. She was so excited that she almost shouted. In her excitement, she pointed upwards. With a burst of intense light, a small bird flew out. It is said that it can deliver messages anywhere, including the underworld. Lulu, overwhelmed with emotion, shed bittersweet tears. Emma is not happy now. You found out it's not a designer bag. A look of disappointment showed on her face. I saw it all. I haven't admitted that you are my master yet. Lulu didn't say much more. She just pushed the cookies in front of her over. The little bird shouted excitedly, "Do you think I would be bought by something like this?" But in the end, it was just a stubborn front. She readily accepted after just a single taste. She even praised him for being a good person. Meanwhile, Lulu's task window refreshed. She found there was only one task left. That is, to get Aries to acknowledge he's a member of the family. But when she remembered what her brother said, that siblings are competitors. After all, in the end, only one person can become the head of the family. At that moment, she suddenly felt a strange sensation. The girl found it very odd. Clearly, from the first time they met, her brother regarded her as a competitor for the position of head of the family. This meant that her identity as a family member was acknowledged. So why had the task not been completed for so long? The only possibility is that in Aries' heart, she was just seen as someone that needed to be eliminated. In the planned future, there was no place for her at all. Thinking of this, Lulu couldn't help but feel a sting. Hermes noticed her disappointment. Hastily comforting her, he said, "After we meet 3 more times, you will be allowed to call me by my pet name." The girl realized that in Aries' world, I have no family at all. It's a sad thing. Just then, Sally One arrived. Lulu quickly ran towards her, asking her if having a family was a good thing, right? Isn't it good? The boy's ears instantly turned red. She awkwardly turned her head away. After being poked, she jumped in at Sundra manner. Suddenly, she asked with great confusion, "I heard you really like to drink something. What is it exactly?" Everyone was discussing it passionately, but no matter how I asked, they wouldn't tell me. Lulu instantly broke into a cold sweat from the embarrassment. He didn't want to bring up such an embarrassing matter again. But when Sally Wen showed a sad expression because of it, he softened. Embarrassing is embarrassing. I'll just go for it today. So he demonstrated what's called a cheesy pickup line. Sally Wen was immediately smitten. Damn it, this is just too cute. Great, I got a little crazy again. At this moment, Aries recalled the last conversation with Lulu. His heart suddenly began to feel very conflicted. Could it be that he really, as the little one said, is slowly starting to like him? Lost in thought, he had already arrived at Lulu's room. The girl happily greeted him. As soon as Aries sat down, she immediately asked a question. "So, who is the mole working with Talenka? It seems you're quite sure I found out who it is. Why is that?" Lulu instinctively said from the heart. "Because you are very smart." Hars clearly didn't expect this reason. The favorability meter above his head spun rapidly. The girl initiated her first collaboration with her brother to catch a thief. Just a compliment about being smart made her brother secretly happy and increased his favorability by over 200. Although he was happy inside, he didn't want to startle the snake. He even asked his brother for the work log. Bears clearly knows the reason, but still darkly insists on having him explain. Well, Lulu also won't expose it. The Duke's residence provides a large sum of maintenance fees every quarter, so they must also receive legitimate usage reports, right? Sure enough, Aries had thought of this long ago, but upon comparing the details, he found no flaws in the reports. It seems that the traitor is not from this part of the staff. I need the list of auditors from the past 3 years. They must have investigated the Marquis of Talenkar's estate, right? After receiving confirmation, Lulu's eyes instantly welled up. Once, he thought he had been abandoned. He prayed that someone from the Duke's estate would appear, not needing to be taken back. Just knowing he wasn't abandoned was enough. So they really did send auditors there. They were deceived by these people. Aries' brow furrowed instantly. Did that son of a bitch tell you some nonsense about being abandoned? No one can abandon you. Only I can. At this moment, Aries' favorability reached 444. Lulu was instantly captivated by this domineering CEO declaration. 444 must mean you love me to death. It seems you really like me. Although Lulu's words left the boy perplexed, her bright smile still made his ears turn red. At this moment, Lulu had already guessed that it was Talenka who had bought off the auditors. He had a good excuse. That is, she is not the Duke's biological daughter. It was born from the Duchess's affair. Even if it's her biological child, the Duke could never like a flawed child without magical energy. Bears finally understood why Lulu had asked that before. So he said no more. He directly handed over the list of auditors. It hadn't been changed for 3 consecutive years, so it's very likely that even their superiors are traitors. Sure enough, the task completion notification popped up. But Lulu didn't plan to act rashly, because she still needs to find out their backer. If she wants to catch the big fish, she needs bait. Suddenly, Aries smiled and said, "Why don't you suspect me? I might just be pretending to help," wanting to distance herself. However, Lulu firmly replied that it wasn't your style. Aries clearly didn't expect this. With a helpless smile, he said, "You really are hard to figure out." The girl confidently replied on the spot, "After all, my charm is like an onion. No matter how you peel it, it never ends. Speaking of which, my sister heard that you really like to drink a certain thing. It seems to be called Cherish You. Damn it, why can't I get over this joke?" Aries is laughing like an angel, so which one do you want to cherish? This seductive smile made Lulu yell in her heart, "What a stunningly beautiful and cunning fox."